In fact, Cloud Dance is to see him finally show his true face, then it's time to ask him, should be able to get the answer. Cannot wait for the man to answer. The scene of hazy falling around suddenly changed. A torrent of hot air from the brush. The next second, a hot dazzling red reflected in the eyes. Volcano. Cloud Dance out of control. The voice is quite sharp up. The pallor of the facial expression is very obvious, can see. The hands also subconsciously grasped nearby man's skirt. The lava in the volcano. Cloud Dance this time, just really understand. Why that cliff edge wind, why so big? Why fallen all around is hazy? It turned out that under the so-called cliff, there was a crater. Moreover, it is an active volcano. Is Yuguishan built beside an active volcano? Cow. It's amazing. In addition to the flash of these two words in Yunwu's mind, I really can't think of any good words to express the emotion in my heart. No wonder I don't see half a person on the way to the cliff. It turns out that there is no need to guard that place, because who will have enough to jump off the cliff? The corner of the man's eye sweeps the woman in his arms who has lost her face for the first time. The corner of his mouth, which has always been pursed tightly, raises a corner. It seems that seeing her makes him feel better. Of course, after the two fell to a certain distance, the man's figure suddenly jumped towards a certain position above the molten slurry. When the Cloud Dance reacted, they had already stood on a small platform. The platform is formed by protruding rocks, while on the back of the mountain wall, there are tunnels dug by hand. Does this man have a hobby of being a hamster? How do you feel that he can find a tunnel everywhere? If you don't want to be steamed here, just go. The man is a face of cold light, finished saying, turn round toward that only one person can go through the tunnel. Hey, you haven't answered my question just now. Cloud Dance follows. Do you really want to know? Suddenly, walking in front of the man's footsteps, did not look back, but the tone of solemnity of precipitation a lot. Did she ask any serious questions? Although the tunnel in the dark cannot see clearly, but Yunwu is inexplicable. It seems to feel the face of the man in front of some not very good. Well, forget it. If it's not convenient for you to say, I don't ask. Let's go. I want to see my son and daughter in a hurry. Cloud Dance finally feel or don't ask. There is a saying is very right, curious killed the cat. In the current situation, more is better than less. But after Yunwu's words fell, the man in front suddenly said, generally, people who know my name need to pay some price. No, I'm not very interested. What's the price? I'm kidding. If you have to pay for just asking his name, she might as well wash and sleep. Curiosity about him is just curiosity. If you want to use the cost to know, it is not necessary, at least for the time being. Whether you know or not is just a matter of indifference to her. But I suddenly got interested. The man suddenly turned his head. In the dark, the pair of black eyes like eagles blooming in the dark with a strange light. Cloud Dance's heart inexplicably trembled. Intuitive sense of a trace of inexplicable danger. What do you mean? My name Charm. At the end of the speech, the man in front walked forward again. In the dark, Yunwu can clearly hear his marching footsteps, but his heart is shaking with his footsteps. What does he mean by that? Charming? Is that his name? Or code? However, no matter what it is, Cloud Dance suddenly feels very bad. Hey, I just said I'm not interested. You said the name yourself. It's none of my business. In a hurry to follow up the Cloud Dance, some anxiously added such a sentence. But the man in front of him never stopped and continued to walk along the tunnel. Dark Cloud Palace. Above the main hall. Suzerain, the Dark Emperor has been walking around the palace frequently recently. Is there any problem? A younger four elders, Lo asked sitting in the main hall of the court. On the main hall, there are almost several elders and administrators of the Dark Cloud Palace. Yes, recently I also found that the Dark Emperor always seems to be wandering in the halls. 2 days ago, he went to the training room in my hall. Originally, they were also very pleased with the Dark Emperor, who had spent most of the efforts of the whole Dark Cloud Palace. At least, after the appearance of the Son of Light in Yuguishan, the awakening of the Dark Emperor prevented the Dark Cloud Palace from being crushed all at once. But after all, they are from the human world, and they still have a strong sense of autonomy. They were afraid that the Dark Emperor would remember what If so, it's no joke at all. Therefore, the elders present and several administrators also expressed their suspicions with some worries. Besides wandering around, do you find anything wrong? Lian Ting was sitting in the upper hall in white, with a trace of dignity on his handsome face. It's not. It's just that he has been reminded many times, but he still walks around. If he doesn't remember something, it's nothing, he's afraid. After that, Director Liu didn't say it, but the meaning was clear to everyone present. Several elder relatives automatically used the awakening array of Dark Cloud Palace. His memory can't come back in general. However, you'd better pay more attention these days. Yes. Lord a few steward immediately respectful response, and then also very sensible of the first retreat. In the hall, only 4 elders and Lian Ting were left. Elder, what do you think of this? Lian Ting looked at an old man sitting under his right hand. The old man has a kind eyebrow and a good purpose, and he has a gray robe. He is just like an immortal. But if you look at it carefully, you will find that his good eyes are full of wisdom and coldness. Although the awakening array can wash away the memory of the awakened person, it can't guarantee that there is no exception. What's more, before the Dark Emperor awakened, his self-consciousness was so strong that he was not afraid of 10,000, just in case. What Elder Marshal Brother said is very true. We saw with our own eyes the stubborn resistance of the Dark Emperor before he woke up. If he really recovered his memory, he would never stay. But it's not so easy to find a candidate for the Dark Emperor. As you know, it took us a long time to find someone who met all the requirements. If we really got to that point, wouldn't it be a pity to destroy him? The one who spoke was the 3 elders. Among the 4, he was actually older than the other 3 elders. But because of his practice, his appearance was the youngest of the 4. Even if it's a pity, you can't leave the future trouble. Have you forgotten the loss of Guangming Department 300 years ago? We in the dark have to take a warning. Chang is always a middle-aged man with a fat figure. He usually has a simple and honest face. If he didn't look at his clothes, it's hard to imagine that he would be the 2nd elder in the Dark Cloud Palace. The Son of Light has appeared in the Light Department. If we lose the Dark Emperor at this time, our Dark Department will be suppressed. The 3 elders still don't suggest it. I said, Old 3, can you refute my proposal every time? Just now the Elder Marshal Brother said, if you are not afraid of 10,000, just in case. Then I don't agree either. Well, 2 Elder Marshal Brothers, it seems that this matter is not as serious as you said. Do you think it's too far away? No matter whether the Dark Emperor's memory has been restored or not, now it's just that the Dark Emperor has been wandering in the Dark Cloud Palace. Do you want to destroy him or not? This time, it was the young 4 elders who first said that the Dark Emperor often wandered in the palace. Before the 2nd elder spoke to the 3rd elder, the 4th elder raised his eyes and looked at the elder. Elder Marshal Brother, you'd better talk about this. However, if you want to talk about my suggestion, I think we should take a look at it for the moment. After all, what the 3rd Elder Marshal Brother just said is not unreasonable. The current situation is really bad for our Dark Cloud Palace. If we really lose the Dark Emperor, it must be our dark faction that will lose. This made several people present ponder for a while. Lord, what do you think of this? The elder didn't decide anything without authorization. Instead, he looked up and looked at Lian Ting on the throne. Lian Ting looked at the elder deeply. When he saw the smile in the elder's eyes, Lian Ting couldn't help but hook his lips. I think the elder seems to have a plan, so it's better to listen to the elder's method first. Let the tiger go back to the mountain. The elder suddenly said these 4 words, and then he began to laugh inexplicably. And other people have not understand. It is not known, anyway. Even after hearing the court, the smile on the handsome face suddenly deepened inexplicably. Let the tiger go back to the mountain. On a peak in the back of the Dark Cloud Palace, there was an old man standing facing the wind. At this time he was staring at a place in the Dark Cloud Palace far below. I didn't expect that he was in the Dark Cloud Palace. No wonder he began to smell an unusual smell from the Cloud Palace. It turned out that it was the ghost of the Dark Cloud Palace. The old man muttering to himself was no one else. It was the North Old Man who separated from the East, West and South old men not long ago. Before the four of them separated that day, they discussed going to the Dark Cloud Palace as their destination. However, he came some time earlier than the other three old men. Just did not expect, but let him inadvertently found a familiar breath. The son-in-law of the Cloud family in the human world, Long Qingxia. Before they left to trace the smell of Cloud Dance, they also took the dragon's evil clothes from the Cloud family and shouldered the promise of helping to find them. And just now, he faintly smelled the same smell from a man in the Dark Cloud Palace. However, something unexpected happened to him. In addition to recognizing the identity of Dragon Qingxia, he also smelled out the power of darkness after awakening from him. That cloud dancing girl can give birth to the son of darkness. It seems that most of the reasons really come from this man. Fourth brother, what are you looking at so seriously? Why didn't you even notice that we were here? A bright voice came from behind. Turning his head, he saw the old man from the west and the old man from the south coming near at the same time. The north old man looked behind them and found that the east old man didn't show up. We met Jiaofeng in front of us. We didn't see big brother. I guess we're almost here. But what did you just see? Old man, she looked in the direction that old man Bei just looked at. How could it be the son-in-law of Jian family? Is the hand of the Dark Cloud Palace extended to the human world after smelling the breath? The old man frowned and looked dignified. We've been away for a long time. I'm afraid the fairyland is beginning to disobey the rules. South old man, who has always been more eccentric, also spoke in a low voice. The fierce black eyes looked at a figure in the Dark Cloud Palace in the distance, from which they naturally felt the dark breath of the dragon at this time. They break the rules so much, don't the secret clans ignore it? Old man, she has some doubts. But obviously they don't know the answer. Now that the son-in-law of the Cloud family has been found, do you think we should take them back to the human world first? Or should we solve the problem of the son of darkness first? The old man turned to ask his second and third brothers. I think I'd better talk about it when elder brother comes, said the old man. Okay, let's wait for big brother first. The three decided to be the same, so for a moment, they had no other action. Just above the peak, they looked down at the Dark Cloud Palace in the distance. Their strength was very strong before they died. Even if they were soul body at this time, their distant vision could not stop them. But also because they are soul bodies, they can't let people detect their breath in general, so they wantonly search in the dark area during this period of time, and didn't attract many people's attention. Anyway, in a forest of Guangming Department, after walking out of the narrow and small tunnel, Yunwu followed the man named Mei in front into the forest. It may be close to the volcano around, the trees in the forest are not very prosperous, and there are almost no small wild animals. But Yunwu felt that the forest was still within the boundary of Yugui Mountain. Where's my child? After walking for most of the day, there was no direction to the city. Yunwu finally asked. At this point, the only thing she wanted to see was her children. Follow me and you'll see your child. What's the hurry? Charm rather cold voice, calm came. If you don't know it's not his opponent, Yunwu can't help kicking him. What's the rush? Her child is in his hands. Can she not be in a hurry? Patience. Cloud danced self-hypnosis for a while, so long to bear down, also not so little time. As long as the child with her, she immediately find a way to leave the Jade Mountain. Originally thought that two people began to silent walk in front of the charm but suddenly opened his mouth. I heard that Yuzigi arranged you in the east chamber of Yindian? Cloud danced lung for a while. Yes. What's the problem? The enchantment footstep seemed to pause slightly for a second, but it was only a second, and he couldn't see that he was different. It's nothing, it's just curiosity. Curious? What's so curious about that? You have the ability to go in and out of the door freely. What else can arouse your curiosity? Yunwu glanced at him and sneered. There are not many things that can arouse my curiosity, but I have to be curious about the identity of Yuguishin's chosen partner. The halfway chosen by Yuguishin master? What do you mean by that? Cloud dance brow tightly. See you get up. Always feel oneself as if didn't make clear some matters. At this time in front of the charm but suddenly stopped, turned his head inexplicably looked at the cloud. You don't know? What do I know? Tut tut, I didn't expect that you were quite dull. It's so obvious that I haven't seen it yet. I don't know what Yuzi thinks of you. Charmed that handsome cold face but did not give a smile. Yuzi takes a fancy to me? Cloud dance and hear his words. The first reaction is slightly lung for a while, then, is to understand the meaning of his words. After a long time, the abnormal behavior of Yuzi Gui to her is because he takes a fancy to her? Damn, are the people in the fairyland fed up? Can a woman with 2 children also cause crime? All along, Yunwoo only thinks that Yuzi's behavior is to know her child's whereabouts from her mouth, in addition to making use of her. How can you think about that emotion? What's more, after listening to the tone of these fairyland people many times, it's obvious that their views on the human world are always extremely arrogant. Now, it's a laughing matter to say that the patriarch of a large clan has taken a fancy to her married husband. Cloud Dance's third reaction is to sneer and look up at the charm. It's really my fault. It makes your patriarch like me. May didn't expect her to reply so sarcastically. She was stunned for a moment, but soon his cold face began to smile, this time with a real smile. Maybe, you do have something special. Finish saying, also didn't see the reaction of Cloud Dance again. Continue to head also don't return of forward shuttle in the woods. It's a special fart. Cloud Dance if you can, really want to burst a vulgar language. Who are these people? What is special? In their men's eyes, the woman who clings to them is a normal woman? Forget it. It's really unreasonable to argue with these superior people. It took about half an hour to go through the woods. The charm finally stopped. Where's my child? The Cloud Dance to sweep an eye all around Bear Valley. One eye can see to the end. Completely don't see a little human figure. It's in there. Enchantment lifted Mao to sweep an eye that shallow valley road. Inside, Cloud danced to that square city and learned the existence of the magic array in the fairyland, so it was a little calm. Just go in? Or what do you need to do to get in? Cloud Dance looks at the charm. I always feel that this man can't help her without any purpose. I need something. Enchantment that pair of eyes such as eagle is looking at her. This time, there is a certain purpose to her undisguised existence. What is it? Directly, if I can, I don't want to be against you. Cloud Dance is also direct. When she came to this fairyland, she had too many enemies. If she can, she really doesn't want to have any enemies with this mysterious man. Even if she can't be friends, at least not enemies. The holy things of your witches. When the charm said this, the fundus of the eye obviously flickered a faint color. The meaning is not clear. The holy things of the witch clan? Yunwoo seems to be surprised. You know I'm a witch? Although your son has almost absorbed all the power of the sorcerer in you, the blood breath of your sorcerer saint cannot be changed. He has a clear idea. Cloud Dance can't help but see more charm a few eyes, look at him in the eyes and didn't hide. Then how do you know that the holy things of the witch clan are on me? Yunwoo asked again. The witch family is originally a mysterious family in charge of the human world in the fairyland, and the holy things of the witch family will only appear in the hands of the saint of the witch family. After the destruction of the witch family, the saint of the witch family has not died, but her blood has been almost destroyed by the people who have imprisoned her. The only thing that the holy things of the witch family can be found in you. The present but not fully awakened saint of the witch family. The analysis in May's mouth is very thorough. Can Cloud Dance after hearing that words, but heart bottom trembled for a while, take off his sorceress clan saint? Imprisoned? Is that her mother? Even though she knew that her mother, whom she had never met, had not died, but had been taken by the people of the beast sect. At this time, she really heard the whereabouts from the magic mouth, and it was a different feeling in her heart. Do you know who imprisoned the last witch saint? Who is it? Cloud Dance's eyes are sharp, squinting and looking directly at the charm. It seems no surprise that Yunwoo has this kind of reaction charm, but Junling's face has restrained that smile, such as the eagle's black eyes erect a touch of silent and powerful coldness. Now we talk, it seems that it is not the question you want to ask. If you really want to get the answer you want from me, you can exchange it with the price. Now, we are talking about the holy things of the witch clan. No more. Yunwu tried to restrain her inner uneasiness and try her best to recover her calmness. At the beginning of the war with the master of the beast sect, the holy things of the witch clan had disappeared to help me destroy the master. What Bai Lao has done for her is always a pain in her heart. Since it is called a holy thing, how can it be that the patriarch disappears just to destroy a human world? Mei obviously doesn't believe it. For the sake of the sorcerer's holy things, he also does his best. How can he believe that the sorcerer's holy things are gone just by her words? But what Yunwu said is true. Since you can see the blood of our witch family, can't you see if there are any holy things in me? Yunwu understood that he didn't believe what he said, so he took a step and stood in front of him with open hand. Mei looks at the woman in front of her. Although her face is expressionless and cold, her hands on both sides are clenched tightly. If he can see the traces of the sacred objects of the witch clan on her, will he still spend so much effort on her? It was because he didn't see the existence of the sorcerer's holy things from her that he followed her all the time. But now she told him it was gone. Does that make him forget it? No, 300 years. How many more years does he have to wait? Since you don't want to hand over the holy things of the witch clan, your children don't want to go back. If the eagle's eyes are attacked and died by a cold and fierce light, he will walk towards the valley alone. What do you mean? You wait. See that charm completely change face of circumstance. Cloud Dance hastily chase up. But just close to the valley, a strong spring suddenly hit her out. Bang! The body was hit on a tree trunk, shaking all the fallen leaves. Cough. The sharp pain of the wind from behind made Yunwu coughing, with a slightly bloody smell rising from his throat. What a powerful force. It's not that I've never seen Cloud Dance like the formation border. I've even met the difficult border before, but there's never been a kind of border formation that has such a strong counterattack power. If you look inside, Yunwu can be sure that she has an internal injury. But at this time, she didn't care about her own injury. Instead, she scrambled up behind her and headed for the valley in a hurry. Mei, if you don't believe me, can I let you see it with your own eyes? Just when the figure of the enchantment was about to disappear in the border array, Cloud Dance didn't care about the image, and immediately cried out. For this man, she is absolutely not sure that she can get the child back from him. At least, until now, this man makes her feel a sense of fear beyond the crisis. So even if she had to plead in a low voice, she would not hesitate. After a meal, he turned around and stared at the clouds like an eagle. Let me see it with my own eyes. Yuzigi can read my memory from my memory. I believe that with your strength, it will not be difficult for you. The so-called humiliation is not equal to her 2 children at this time. This time the memory is read, she can willingly. Charm smell speech. It seems inexplicable deep looking at Cloud Dance good half ring. Finally slowly toward her back. You said, did Yuzigi read your memory? The charming eyes narrowed slightly. Don't worry, his memory is limited before I enter the city. It means it doesn't expose him. This just let the spirit that looks slightly restored to come back. When he came to Yunwu's side, he suddenly put his hand on her slender shoulder, and at the same time, a faint warm current came into her body along his palm. Yunwu knows that he seems to be reading her memory in his way, so she did not resist, as the warm current along the shoulder into her mind. Different from the stabbing pain under Yuzigi's power, when the power of charm penetrated into her mind, Yunwu had only a little discomfort, and then her consciousness began to be lax. Which part of memory is read, Cloud Dance can control itself. When the charm of the hand back, Cloud Dance that lacks spirit began to return, some dull brain, but on the whole, the body did not receive much influence. It seems that everyone's strength is different, and the effect is also different. Now you should see what you want to see too. Cloud Dance looks at the charm. The charming eyebrows were deeply locked, and there was a faint color between the eyebrows. However, there was less cold and fierce air at the beginning, but he looked at the Cloud Dance seriously and said, even so, if I say I must get the holy things of the witch family? The sorcerer's holy things have disappeared. Where do you want me to find another sorcerer's holy things for you? Yunwu is also a little annoyed. You may continue to stare at her. Me? Yunwu frowned and stared at him. What do you mean? Its final strength is given to a few of you. If you want to get it back, you just need to get it back from you. Get it back? How can I get it? The cloud dances, the eyes onling kill it and take the inner elixir. The charm of the deep eye began to flash off a sense of obliteration. After hearing the words, Yunwu's face suddenly changed, but it was also accompanied by tremendous anger. Do you mean that you want to kill my relatives and companions for the sake of the holy things of the witch clan? Mai Xiaomi looked at her, and the corners of her mouth were frivolous. I don't want to, but I have to get it. Killing people in the human world is just like crushing a few ants to me. What if I say I won't? Cloud Dance squints star eyes, cold light attacked eye, a chill from the bottom of my heart. No longer any cover-up burst out at this time. You think you can stop me? Charm coldly looking at her, words with a cold pride. He didn't think that the woman who had been passive and pitifully waiting for his help would have any resistance. Even though she is a witch saint. It's just a witch saint who doesn't really wake up and don't drain all her energy. In any case, she is not a threat to him now. Cloud Dance extremely angry counter smile. Is that right then try? Her relatives and companions will always be her rebellious scales. Once someone tries to touch her scales, she will do whatever it takes to hurt her enemies and herself. Whiz. Murinten in that moment, came out of the bracelet on her wrist. Sharp on thorn, thick green cane. Even if the lethality of the man does not play any role, but also can be used to obstruct. As soon as Milongtang came out, several vines leaped up in the air, forming a net attack in the mid-air, and without hesitation toward the charm. Charm but from the beginning to the end are indifferent looking at that Ling air attack to the green vine, light but a hand. Bang bang. After a pale white light, several small bombs exploded in the air. And for him, it's just as easy as moving his fingers. Just, when a cold on suddenly and noiselessly approaches in front of him, the evil spirit facial expression just had a piece of second startle change. Tear the slight tearing sound when the blade cuts the clothes, accompanied by the strange cold. At the moment when the evil figure attacked the body shook, the phantom disappeared under the cold light, and appeared 10 meters away. The cloud dances that pair of star eyes. At this time only then leaves the evil spirit to kill the idea. The whole body spirit dint lifts. Full strength sends out an attack. The green vine, which was blown up in mid-air, grew up again at this time. Whoosh whoosh. With the fast shadow of cloud dance, it also attacks with high speed. Dayton time, I saw in front of the small valley, a group of green vines with a petite figure, crazy in the siege attack a strong tall figure. The speed is so fast that you can't see the attack clearly with your naked eye. Only see a flash on this side, the next flash on the other side. Bang. Poof. A white light. A figure suddenly flying out of the air. Heavily hit a rock not far away. Then, the man's blood gushed out and dyed the gravel on the ground red. At the same time, the scattered green vine turned into a green light and returned to the wrist of Cloud Dance. Cloud Dance in the heart samurai smile. In his hand, unexpectedly even a minute didn't pass, but on the pale face without blood color, it was still the cold anger, and forced to bear the pain to get up from the ground, looked up at the cold charm not far away. Why don't you kill me? Cloud Dance asked sarcastically. The charm looks at the Cloud Dance in front of her, and there is a little bit of unknown undercurrent and exploration in her eyes. Just now, she was attacked by the boarder. She must have suffered some injuries. Unexpectedly, she could resist so much. This is really the blood of the witch people. But he was not happy with such a woman. You don't want your child back when you challenge me so much? Cloud Dance wiped the blood of the corner of the mouth, sneer away. Have fart to put. At this time, Yunwu is not in a good mood to play with him again. If she knew that this incident would involve her family and companions, she would not propose to let him see any memory at the beginning. Now she did dig her own grave. But Yunwu also knew that as long as he had to get the holy things of the witch family, it would happen sooner or later. In that case, we can solve it together now. Child, I can only give you one and another. When you get back the holy things of the witch clan, you can exchange them. Charm said this, obviously more consideration. No way. Cloud Dance angry way. But her opposition did not affect him. Charm took a step forward, a light white streamer immediately from his hands toward the small valley. In that moment, after the dazzling white light flashed, a small hut appeared in the valley. However, before the cloud dance had any action, there was an air mass wrapped by white light in the hut, and Little Potato flapped his wings and roared like a follower. Yunwu knew immediately that it was her child. The body reacts much faster than the brain. When the brain reacts, the seriously injured body already flies away and pounces on the air mass that flies to the charm. But before Cloud Dance came near, a powerful force would blow her out mercilessly. Gulyalu. Small Potato seems to see Cloud Dance's hit fly, roar, small body a turn, want to catch up. But at this time, another figure suddenly came from the void, but it was much faster than it. By May, I haven't seen you for 300 years. Why is your cold and fierce murderous spirit still so heavy? A familiar voice, cold and unemotional, sounded over the valley. The cloud dances like rags, and the body that has been knocked out is about to hit the ground when it is held in a warm embrace. Poof! The blood, again gushing out, pale as paper. Yunwu only felt that his consciousness had a moment's lax blank at that moment. But she did not allow herself to see this coma in the past. Her child is still in the hands of that person. Forced to take a breath, Yunwu tried his best to calm the dizziness, looked up and caught his man. Yuzi. He's coming? Such a coincidence? Suddenly, the corner of Cloud Dancing's pale mouth inexplicably mocks itself. It seems that in these people's eyes, she is indeed the object of use. I'm afraid that the little slave left her obediently today. It was arranged early. And all this, I'm afraid, is calculated by this man. Yuzi, I haven't seen you for 300 years. You are still so mean. After seeing the appearance of Yuzi Gui, the charm regained her former calmness after a moment's stupefaction. However, her eagle-like eyes were staring at him coldly. If you look at it from the eyes, the hatred between the two seems not small. But when Yuzi came back, he glanced at him coldly. Then he looked down at the pale woman in his arms and put his palm on her back. At that moment, a warm current rushed into Yunwu's weak and seriously injured body. Cloud Dance at this time did not refuse. She also wanted to grab back the child. However, seeing this, how can we let them heal? In the air, a white light suddenly attacked Yuzi. Yuzigi's eyes were sharp and his other hand was empty. The powerful and oppressive force of white fog suddenly faced the white light. Bang! With a loud noise, the two forces burst out in the air, pouring out a force of aftershocks. I've been waiting for 300 years, but I didn't expect that when your weakness appeared, Yuzigi, when you didn't kill me. I really don't know if you were stupid? Still so pure and lofty. But you sent it to me today. Leave me your life. See Yuzigi resist his power at the same time, unexpectedly still give Cloud Dance healing. This inexplicably stabbed the spirit of the heart of that wound. After the two children in the air mass were trapped to one side, the figure disappeared. In a twinkling of an eye, he came to Yuzigi. Without any hesitation, the white sword condensed in the air stabbed Yuzi like a swift beast. At that moment, Yunwu and Yuzigi's arms felt a terrible murderous and captivating force. She knew that if Yuzigi didn't let go of her at this time, he couldn't completely avoid the attack. And if he let her go and evaded the attack, it was her who took the attack. Even if Cloud Dance is in full strength at this time, I'm afraid she can't avoid it completely. What's more, in the case of serious injury, she can't avoid it at all. I didn't wait for Yunwu to see the attack. Oh! The hand that embraces her waist suddenly a force, the wind beside the ear is protruding. In front of a flower, the cloud dances. Feel the body is being held a rapid movement but open. Poof! The sound of flesh and blood being stabbed in. Yunwu was not hurt, but before she could see the situation clearly, she felt that her body was thrown out of the air again and flew to the other side. However, it was different from the ferocity that had been shot out before, but was flying in that direction by a force. Goo goo. Small Potato see Cloud Dance body suddenly fly over. Immediately Mutter quickly flew over. Goo goo. Little Potato is struggling to catch Yunwu. Two fleshy little wings are flapping in the air. It's not until Yunwu is safely put on the ground that he looks at Yunwu anxiously. as if he wants to make sure she's in good condition. Little potato, I'm fine. Yunwoo stood up from the ground with the fishy sweetness in her throat. On the other side, the two figures had already fought together. The flash of the fast attack figure, in the mid-air crisscross complex flashing. The speed is so fast, even Cloud Dance can't see clearly. It can be seen that the power, she can't compare now. Yuzigi just threw her to this side, which was just the place where the charm trapped her children. Yunwoo knew that Yuzi was protecting her, and the enchanting sword must have stabbed him. But at this time, she didn't care to pay attention to the fight between the two. She turned around and walked quickly to the place covered by the white light. Dong dong! The little fat girl in the white light wanted to come out of the little white light group when she saw the Cloud Dance. The little fat girl hung the transparent wall, with her hands dead. Da-da. Through the white light, little fat girl is very happy to see her mother, but the damn thing trapped her. She wants to leave and can't leave, so her heart is very angry. But she has already used the strength of sucking, still can't earn this broken thing. What to do? It seems that my mother is also very worried. She has been chopping with a knife, but I can't see her splitting. Little fat girl frowned. She was worried, but she was depressed. It's too late. Her little brother can still sleep. It's a pig. Little fat girl turned her head and looked at the little baby who didn't know the situation at all. Her mouth pouted and she wanted to wake him up, but his weak one couldn't even walk. It seemed useless to wake him up. For the first time, she wanted to despise her younger brother. How weak. I love to sleep. But even though she despises and dislikes her little brother, she still protects him carefully behind her, so as not to hurt him when his mother breaks this broken thing. Mother said, she is a sister. It's right to protect my brother. Get out of the way, little fat girl. Yunwoo looked at the little figure close to the white light barrier. Yunwoo waved to her and motioned her to step back. Just cut continuously to arrive. All can't break open. Cloud Dance can only find information from the Dragon Scroll to see if there is any way to break the powerful boundary. Finally, only find the wood spirit to enter from the bottom. Milongtang, be careful not to hurt them. Summon the wood spirit on the wrist. Cloud Dance low voice of exhort. Mu Ling can understand it. Yunwoo knows this very well. The green vines, after hearing the sound, just shake the branches, swish into the ground, straight into the ground. Bang bang, chong chong. In midair, more and more powerful forces were heard. The little potato flies around anxiously. It has already tried, but it can't break it. Otherwise, it doesn't need to chase after for a while. However, the battle over there seems to be coming to an end. And the two little masters have not been rescued. What should we do? Yunwoo saw Milongtang in more than 10 seconds after entering the earth, and finally emerged from the white light boundary. Originally, he was worried and finally relieved a little. I'll use the spirit power as a guide. You can bring the child out quickly. Cloud Dance finished saying, also don't care about the internal injury in the body didn't recover, luck elixir field, straight will body spirit power into just would dragon rot tan break into the position. At that moment, the earth element, which had never been felt, actually felt something, which was a surprise for Cloud Dance. Originally, it was only with the spirit power as the guide, and it could only rely on the wood dragon rot tan to bring the child out from the bottom of the earth. But now if she can sense the earth element, it means that she can use the earth element. Boom! There was a sudden shock on the ground. With the spirit power, a crack suddenly opened in front of Yunwoo. The crack went straight into the boundary of the white light. The little fat girl in the border, when she was entangled by that Milongtang, she didn't forget to hold her little brother tightly with her fat hand. The moment the child was entangled, Milongtang quickly penetrated into the crack. Fortunately, Yunwoo uses earth elements to open the underground cracks. Otherwise, it would be impossible to bring the children out of the ground by Milongtang alone. Da-da. In the area of Milongtang out of the ground, the little fat girl can't care about her little brother, so she flies to the clouds, with tears shining in her big eyes and grievances on her face. Where's Mom? She was bullied by that villain. At the moment when Yunwoo holds the child in her arms, tears also rise. Her heart aches and she is satisfied her child. But Yunwoo doesn't know. At the moment when she uses the earth element, The charm of fighting with Yuzigi in the air suddenly changes. But also at that moment, his figure quickly withdrew from Yuzi's attack area and danced to the clouds. Be careful. Jade's son returns, only have time to shout. But it's still too late. At that moment, Yunwu felt the danger and wanted to escape, but his body was lifted up by the power. Goo goo. Little Potato roared. Dada. The fat girl screamed. Ah. The sleeping young master was also awakened. Yunwu only felt that at that moment, his head was blank and his body was smashed by the force. However, he held the child's hands tightly and did not dare to let go. But in mid-air, the figure that came with it forced her hands away and robbed the two children in her arms. Give it back to me. Yunwu's face was pale and roared. Even though his body was in pain like breaking apart, he didn't know where the power came from. The body that had fallen out of the sky jumped up in mid-air and rushed to the man who had robbed her child. Charm eyes squint, but it is the first time with deep meaning to look at the woman toward him. She, however, is beyond his expectation. But it's not enough. I'm sorry, the deal just failed, so you will lose your two children at the same time. That's the price. In the air, the voice of enchantment comes with an empty voice. And then, he saw that figure began to turn into a virtual shadow in the void. Dada. The little fat girl cried. Give the baby back to me. Cloud Dance heart such as drama crack, looking at the enchantment of the figure, eyes scarlet, rushed faster, but still seems to be faster than the virtual figure. Small potatoes also angry roar fly. Goo goo. Small potatoes also angry roar fly. But the virtual figure really disappeared from the air, no. The roar of Cloud Dance ripping heart and lungs is lifted up in the valley. Child. Her child. No, she can't let the kids go. Regardless of the body falling to the ground, he got up from the ground and turned around suddenly, looking at Yuzi back. Help me please. Tears twinkled in her scarlet eyes, but she did not allow them to fall. The white robe on Yuzi Gui's body was dyed red by the stab, but it still gave people the cold air of immortality. Good. He didn't refuse Yunwu's call for help. A white dress flits by. At the moment of Cloud Dance, the two figures jump up in the air and begin to disappear in a twinkling of an eye. Small potatoes see this, but also sees the opportunity to fly away. Together with the two figures disappeared in the void. Ho-ho. The wind whirring in my ears, what I saw in front of my eyes was a piece of white light passing by. Yunwu's cold and murderous heart became more and more intense. Black eyes were in scarlet at this time, as if they could not feel the pain of the viscera. Charming. Charming. If you dare to touch my child, I will tear you to pieces in pursuit of white light. Jade's son returned tiny Lo Mao. Saw an eye in his arms quiet woman. Pale complexion almost become transparent. Reverse Tuo gave her that pair of scarlet eyes. Even if she didn't open her mouth, she could clearly see the killing intention in her eyes. This kind of mood is not suitable for her. If he could, he didn't want her to look like that. But at this time, Yuzigi didn't speak half a word, just put his arms around her waist and made a little effort. The edge of the light zone. After more than 3 hours of chasing, I finally caught up with the charm with two children outside a small town that was about to enter the elf forest. The two children in the hands of the charm fell into a deep sleep at this time. Looking at Yuzi Gui catching up with him with Yunwu, Mei's cold and stern look was filled with a touch of sarcasm. The Grand Master of returning to the mountain, now he really can't let go of a woman. Jade's son returned but still indifferent glance at him. Give the child back to her. Give it back to her? What, you don't want the son of light? By the way, and the son of the dark, whom you have always regarded as a curse said. The charm liked to show the general raised his hands sleeping children. The scarlet eyes of Cloud Dance are staring at the two children in his hands tightly, and the bottom of his heart is anxious and nervous, for fear that he will accidentally drop her child. But a touch of hate rose in my heart. Hate yourself. Why did you leave your children there so carelessly? Hate this man who used children as a threat for the purpose. If she could, she would rather trade her life for the safety of her two children. Mei, no matter what your purpose is, the two children are innocent. Put them down and let's have a good chat. Yuzigi let go of the cloud dance and walked step by step towards the charm. But Mei suddenly heard something funny. She looked up and burst out laughing. Innocent? The laughter stopped suddenly, and the cold attack in the eagle's eyes was infected with a strong murderous atmosphere. Innocent? Yuzigi, these two words can come out of your mouth. I really think it's ridiculous. If you so-called bright and decent people could have innocent in your heart, how could she die and why would I become such a lifeless person? Haha, innocent, innocent, haha. Speaking of the latter two words, Mei laughs with great irony, and laughs very loud. However, the laughter is inexplicably full of a strong sense of sadness-hate. Yuzigi's face is still very calm. However, looking at the laughing charm, there is a helpless apology in his eyes. At the beginning, it's not that we didn't save her, but Peony. She chose to give you the only chance. She wanted you to live. You shut up. You have no right to mention her name. If it wasn't for you, if it wasn't for your so-called bright and decent, who brought us back by force, she would not be hurt or die. You all talk about benevolence, justice and morality, but in fact, she is the most selfish and self-interested liar. At the mention of the word peony, the charm is like being stabbed in the key, covered with thorns all over, leaving only angry hatred on the cold face. Whenever he thought of her death, he was heartbroken, and he wanted to kill all these so-called decent people one by one. However, the power of being awakened in him is just like a curse. Whenever he kills these people in the light faction, he will be bound and trapped involuntarily. Otherwise, he would not hide for 300 years. 300 years. How many painful days and nights? No one can understand, and no one can understand. He must untie the forbidden curse and get the holy things of the witch family. Then, one by one, he will kill all these people. All of them. Yuzigi didn't expect that the hatred in his heart was so deep that he was almost possessed. Evil spirit, don't be controlled by hatred anymore. If you go on like this, you will be doomed. Haha, can't it be over? Yuzigi, put away your high-sounding excuse. If it wasn't for the conditions, you wouldn't live in front of me. The een in the eagle eye is fierce to twinkle, swept that jade sun to return to one eye, then turn to another side, locked in that is trying to sneak toward him of cloud dance body. Yinwu, you are a woman. You are really interesting. Originally, I didn't plan to treat your children like that, but you are too ignorant. The moment he said that, he suddenly threw the little fat girl on the side of the boulder. No. The cloud dances in fear of cracking, and the body flies away. Magic. Yuzigai's face changed and his figure turned into white light. But the charm is a cold smile, and Yuzigi rushed to the direction of the little fat girl. A powerful spirit ball hit on his back. Bang! Poof! Yuzigi took the attack and spat blood, but he also took the little fat girl who was thrown to the boulder. But little fat girl started, but it was light, without any real feeling. Now bowed his head, and when he saw clearly the small figure gradually turned into foam in his hands, Yuzi returned to his mouth and inexplicably raised a bitter smile. Mirage. I didn't expect that one day he would be so nervous for someone that he didn't find such a simple magic trick. Yinwu's face is very pale. When he sees that Yuzigi's child is just a mirage, he is a little relieved. However, he looks at Yuzigi with some complexity. Yuzi wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, and slowly turned to look at his charm with a sneer. Mei seemed very satisfied with the effect she saw, and said sarcastically, for the sake of a woman who has become so embarrassed, I really want to let those old people in the clan have a look, and see how their proud patriarch, for the sake of a woman, even for the disaster they want to eradicate, they ignore their lives to rescue. This is really a good play. Cloud Dance heard their dialogue, but also a little guess out of the plot. However, she could not sympathize with the man who was full of sadness. How on earth can you give the child back to me? The cloud danced with scarlet eyes and looked at the charm that was mocking Yuzi's return. The deal between you and me is over. If you want to have children, it will cost a lot. Magic suddenly looks at Cloud Dance with a strange smile. Yuzi Gui frowned. Say it, kill him. As long as you can kill him, you'll get both of them back. Charming smile, not smile of see to the other side of Jade Sun returned to say, the facial expression of hate idea changed on a touch of see a play of interest. Go to the theater. It's true that he is watching a play, Another absolutely wonderful play. Cloud dance smell speech. Fist unconsciously clench and rise. Pale face more and more white. But that pair of scarlet eyes but in that moment and become extremely deep. I hope you do what you say. Of course. The charm of the mouth, serious-like answer. And in that next second, Cloud dance hand move. A big knife suddenly appeared in her hand. Master you, he is bound by power and can't kill you, but I can. Cloud dance will pick up the knife. Toward that jade sun return of direction coldly say. However, the meaning of her words is ambiguous. It sounds as if he is making a wild remark, but it seems to remind Yuzi that if he doesn't fight back, she will kill him. Jade sun return but eyebrow deep lock up, didn't answer, also didn't have any movement. Cloud dance see this, and did not hesitate, figure a jump quickly toward Jade sun to attack. Who big knife cuts through the air and cuts down. At the moment when the sword was cut down, Yuzi moved back and avoided the attack, but he still didn't plan to fight back. Cloud dance then figure a spin, blade a turn, cross split and passed. Yuzi goes away. Yunwoo continues to attack. Jade sun return but still left and right up and down of dodge but open, just don't hand. For a moment, I saw two figures attacking and hiding in the open space, and the wind of the sword was waving. Enchantment on the other side, also not anxious, just like laughing at the scene. Maybe, seeing the embarrassed and trapped Dao Yuzi's return in front of her, she felt a little relieved in her heart, so her vigilance relaxed a little. So, it seems that I didn't notice that the little potato, which was hidden from me at the beginning, was sneaking behind him. Yunwoo may not be able to see the location of the two children, but little potato can. Children, in fact, have never left the charm of the side. And the child is in the border space behind him, which is well concealed by him. Small potato carefully flashing meat whirring wings close to the past, taking advantage of the charm now attention in Yunwoo and Yuzi back, in a close suddenly toward the border. Pa. The sound of the broken glass suddenly broke the original funny scene. Little potato is almost in an instant. Small claws grab the two children in the border, on the crazy flapping wings to escape the evil spirit suddenly reacts to come over. The eye-mouth shrinks, kill the idea suddenly to stir up. To die. Two words fall of the moment. Then see his figure has been phantom, cold with extremely cold straight cut into that want to take two children to escape the potato body. Cloud dance as early as in the small potatoes break the border, take out two children's moment, stop to Yuzigi's attack, turned and flew away. However, she did not expect that she underestimated the strength of the charm. No matter how fast she is, she can't be charming. I saw that at the moment when little potato was attacked. She threw little fat girl under one claw towards the direction of Cloud dance. But the young master under the other claw fell down with the split half of his body however. The evil spirit but the hand once brushed, direct that fall of young master gave back to own hand. Small potatoes were split body, with blood donation of falling with the wind. Little potato. Cloud dance is frightened and roars, and her eyes are afraid of cracking, but the figure that flies away is still the little fat girl who is sleeping. At that moment, Yuzigi's figure had turned into a white shadow and quickly attacked the spirit. Bang. The two swords intersected in mid-air, and a sharp sword sound broke through the air and spread out with a strong afterwave. I can't kill you, but don't forget, you can't kill me either. Looking at Yuzi-Gui, who obviously has the intention of killing, the cold face of the charm is infected with a crazy smile. Yuzigi's brow was deeply locked, and her eyes were getting colder and colder. Don't go too far. Too much. Why don't you remember what you did to us? It's just the tip of the iceberg. When Mei said that, she suddenly gave a strange smile, as if she had found some vent. How about we play a game? What do you want to do? The sword in Yuzi-Gui's hand tightened a little. Charming hook lips smile. Coldness mixed with a bit of madness. Of course I'll kill you, isn't this son of light in my hand what you always want? I suddenly felt that giving him to the dark side would make things interesting. Villain, if you dare to do that, I will destroy you myself. Suddenly, a loud voice came from far and near. Then I saw a few white robe figures flying fast. The pressure in the air, along with those figures, has a strong change. It's none other than the elders of Yuguishan. The elder and his disciples were waiting in the square with some elders and Yugue's disciples, waiting for Yuzi to return and pick up Guangming's son. But after waiting for a long time, the elder finally felt something was wrong. Then he discussed with several elders, and went to the place where Yuzi Guilingli was. Along the way, they realized that they were going to walk out of the bright area. Unexpectedly, the evil that had escaped for 300 years was the culprit that prevented them from looking for the Son of Light. Moreover, when they heard that Mei wanted to hand over the Son of Light to the people of the dark sect, how could the elder's anger be small at this time? Villain, when you see me and others coming, don't hurry up and take them. Then came the dignified voice of the second elder. The charm hears the sound, and looks up at the four old men in the air. His eyes are cold and violent. Unexpectedly, 300 years later, you are still such a mean person. Cold anger said. The phantom figure suddenly retreated. But in the back, they were surrounded and cut off by the four old men in four directions. Villain, 300 years ago, you didn't care about our cultivation of you. But because of a woman, you paid for your kindness with resentment. In the past 300 years, if the patriarch didn't care about your awakening to become the emperor of Ming Dynasty in our light department, do you think you could escape 300 years safely? I'm afraid you'll be killed when you run away. The elder looked at the evil spirit and angrily scolded. Emperor Ming. Yes, this charm is the Ming emperor who awakened 300 years ago. Originally, he thought that the awakening of the Ming emperor would be a blessing for the School of Light, but he did not expect that it would be a disaster for the Department of Light. 300 years ago, if that had not happened, the situation of today's two factions fighting would not have been created. Later, the Ming emperor's news was not secret, but Yu Guishan did not mention it by default. Because of this, why did Yunwu not hear any news about the Ming emperor when he inquired about the news in Yuguishan City? After hearing this, Mei wants to hear something funny and laughs. Emperor Ming? If you didn't force me and Peony to the fairyland, if you didn't force me to transform my body and wake up, what would I be like now? Can Peony die of injury? Don't talk as if you've done something kind to me. I'll find it funny. It's so funny that I feel sick. Maybe it was the meaning of Mei's words that made the four old men's faces suddenly change, and they were filled with shame and anger. Seeing the changing faces of the four old men, Mei's sarcastic smile remained unchanged. Did I get angry when I told you to wear your mask? Haha. Evil, you still don't know how to repent for 300 years. Okay. That book will make you today. The elder and the other three elders seemed very angry. Suddenly, they saw that the four old men wanted to fight. Charm is not worried, just suddenly sneer-like looked up, looked at a position in mid-air, cold mouth said. Knight, you want I can bring you, it's time to realize your promise. What? Knight? Holding a little fat girl with red eyes and full of murderous anger, Yunwu combines the two sides of the body of the little potato together. When he hears the enchantment call night, he suddenly raises his head. When you see the sky, gradually appeared in the night, Yunwu only feel the blood is surging up. The scarlet eyes, when they saw the figure, were suddenly infected with countless bloodlines, which were full of the whole eye socket, and looked extremely ferocious and terrible. Night. It's him. It's all him. If it wasn't for him, why would she and her children be in such a situation? At this time of cloud dance, only feel the bottom of my heart. Incomparable resentment is boiling up. There is no original fear of escape. There is only more and more fury. Little Potato's death. All anger to appear in the air on the man. Night is still a black suit, not stained with the general handsome and elegant. In the ground to see the cloud dancing arms of small potatoes. The corners of the mouth inexplicably hold a touch of radiance. Long time no see. Cloud dance. It's very light, but with a gentle voice, it comes slowly as he steps down. Cloud dance put little Potato's body into the space bracelet, then got up from the ground, took off his coat, and tied the sleeping little fat girl tightly in front of him. Then he looked up at him and said, You conspired with him in all this? You've always been smart. Night just looked at her with a smile, and answered such a sentence. But the meaning is very clear. Yunwu clenched his fist. But at this time suddenly. The smell of demons. Are you a demon? On the other side, the elder suddenly stares at the knight, and his voice rises suddenly. After appearing in the night, several elders in Uzgui obviously felt the dark atmosphere on the visitor. At first, they thought that the man Meili was looking for was just from the dark side. But when the night came, the elder with higher cultivation suddenly felt something wrong with his breath. After a careful exploration, he suddenly exclaimed. But unexpectedly, after hearing the elder's words, the knight just deepened the smile of the corner of the mouth, and didn't seem to explain. Demons. Not only Uzgui, but the other three elders also changed their faces. The unprecedented vigilance and solemnity appeared on several people, and their eyes were fixed on the knight. Enchantment. See those old men so big enemy in front of appearance, lazy like hook lip a smile, I bottom that wipe satire half silk didn't reduce. Night, the son of darkness is on her. I believe that a woman in the human world will not pose any threat to you. Now is it time to solve these old men so as to realize your promise? Night line of sight is from beginning to end in the cloud dance to protect the little fat girl in front of the body. The potential in the black eyes must be more and more rich. However, he was not in a hurry to start, but after hearing the speech, he slowly turned his head and looked at the four old men in four directions. Just these four? Otherwise. All right. The knight promised with ease. The four old men, including Uzgui, were alert and ready for the First World War. But no one thought that the shadow of the night was in the voice of a fall, schwa out of a dark shadow, straight down in front of the cloud. As long as it's easy to kill these people when the sons of darkness come. Soft as a feather voice but with a strange meaning said. The chilly breath blows, and the speed is so fast that I want to catch the fat girl in Yunwu's arms. Ooh! The big sword fell in the air, with gusts of cold wind, straight away into the night. Night black Mao a shrink, body shape a move, avoided that to chop down of big knife. But he didn't move any more. Instead, he stood a few steps away from Yunwu and looked at her with a slight eyebrow. Yunwu, during this period of time, you should also feel that these people will not tolerate this child. If you give her to me, I will make her a human being, so that no one can hurt her. Decoy. Maybe, what he said is right. During this period, the people of Yuguishan are not less willing to kill little fat girl. But give it to him? Unless she's dead. Yunwu looked at him and said coldly, Knight, if I can, I will crush you to pieces. Knight smells speech, just deep looking at her after one eye. The corners of the mouth gentle hook up, gentle way. I hope you will have this opportunity, I wait for you. All of a sudden, a black fog came with the breeze, and the familiar and strange dark breath in front of her body would suddenly attack her nose. Next second, Night. Cloud dance roars, subconsciously want to take the little fat girl back. But I do not know why, clearly close at hand, but rushed to the air. The knight stands a few steps away, looking at the cloud dance with pale face and roaring. I don't know when there is a little girl in my hand. Deep eyes in his arms to see the little fat girl. Night that deep eyes finally see a certain kind of comfort and joy of emotion. Slender fingertips gently brush that pink-white cheek, can't put it down. Finally, I found you, my highness princess. Give me the baby back. Cloud dance angry red eyes. Don't want to also don't hesitate toward the knight. Yunwu calm down. At this time, Jade Sun returned but don't know when appeared in Cloud dance side. Tightly pull her into the bosom. You let me go. Yunwu was angry and struggled. Jade Sun returned but tightly embrace her. Let such a Shihao struggle also refuse to let go of hand. He's a demon, you won't be his opponent. Demons. At this time, Yunwu's reason has been occupied by anger, and she doesn't want to pay any attention to the demons. She only knows that her son is in the hands of Meiyu, and the little fat girl who returns to her side with little potato's life is taken away by night. She can't stand it. She really can't stand her children falling into other people's hands. I don't care. Whoever touches my child, I'll take his life. Yunwu's voice was trembling, and she almost wanted to rush to kill those who had caught her children, as long as she could get them back. The Jade Sun returns to the eye ground to pass a touch of heartache of looking at the woman who loses reason calm in the bosom, but didn't plan to let go of her. Listen to me. Demons, absolutely not anyone can casually despise, even his whole Jade Mountain. The demons were sealed thousands of years ago. How did you? The four elders were not affected by Yunwu's action. After digesting the news of the demon, they immediately looked at the knight and asked, "The son of darkness has arrived. Yeben has no intention to fight with these old men for the time being. However, he has promised to do something. At least, he needs to charm the partner. So he didn't mind solving these old men ahead of time. It's from you. In that case, I'll take your life." The knight holds the little fat girl in one hand. The body jumps in the air, one hand lifts up, as if dragging something. A dark cloud suddenly rises in the sky, forcing the air around. The four old men's faces changed. He wants to attack with gathering demons. Stop him, or everyone in this town will be destroyed together. Four directions at the same time. The four old men, after discussing with each other, immediately jumped into the air and surrounded the knight in four directions. At that moment, the white clouds surged around, and four powerful forces rose in four directions, directly pressing the dark force in the middle. Oh! There was a sudden gust of wind. All around, the pressure of the aura fluctuations almost make people breathless. Under the strong afterwave, all around began to bring a hot high temperature. That's the change of two opposite forces. And that kind of high temperature, higher and higher, almost in midair to form a kind of squeezed out of the flame. All the creatures will be burned clean. However, Yunwu felt that the knight had not done its best, and the four old men had not done their best. Once both sides do their best, I'm afraid that all these for weeks will be gone. Charm holding the young master, from the beginning to the end of the station in a distance from the position of the direction, coldly looking at all this happened in front of me. It seems that in his eyes, these are all good plays. It was a good play that he had been looking forward to, and he was reluctant to miss any details. Awu. But at this time, the child's cry suddenly in this tense atmosphere. Yunwu looks up at the young master in her arms. Her heart aches because of the cry of the child. If Yuzi hadn't held her tightly, she would have rushed to her. Since the young master was born, apart from eating and sleeping, Yunwu has never seen him cry, let alone cry now. Unexpectedly, you can feel the danger of your sister, tut-tut. Charm looked at his arms suddenly crying up the little baby, frowned and murmured But Yunwu heard that very clearly. The danger of my sister? Suddenly looked up. Cloud dance open eyes looking at the knight in the hands of the little fat girl. This doesn't look good. At a glance, Yunwu just felt that she couldn't lift her face in one breath. I saw the little fat girl sleeping in her arms that night. Her face was as white as paper. Under the sweat of her forehead, two little willow eyebrows seemed to be tightly wrinkled in endless pain. Is it because of the two forces that are fighting each other? Or is Night using her power? No matter which one, if it goes on like this, little fat girl's life will definitely be explained here. Cloud Dance also don't know how to break away from Jade Sun to return. Anyway, under everyone's facial expression big change. Her body that long seriously injured already jumped into the air, abruptly broke into those two forces. That power is really beyond her power. Yunwu only felt that his internal organs were broken. His limbs were pulled as if they were going to be broken, and his whole body was going to be smashed. And in fact it is. At this time, the cloud dance in people's eyes, the body will be scattered like particles, and will be crushed into a blood fog by the force. Awu. The cry of the young master is more and more sad. Yunwu's consciousness dissipated in the pain, but her son's cry made her pull back a trace of consciousness. All around a chaos, cloud dance. Only feel the eyes of a dazzling red. Heat wave swept her whole body, including burning her eyes. However, Cloud Dance still found the location of the knight. Even though she can't breathe under the pressure of huge force, every inch of her body has been torn to pieces. But with that little sense of existence, at the moment when her body is broken, she suddenly passes through the force and goes straight in. Night he never thought deal with the four old men. Not only hurt the son of darkness, but also let him fall into a difficult situation. But it was the woman who flew to him through the four old men, and his strength that made him feel terrible. You. The voice of the knight just came out, and the woman who came had snatched the pale little fat girl from him. Come on now. An old man suddenly called out. Just as the old man's words had just fallen, the other 3 old men had no time to be shocked. They immediately went out with all their strength and set off a huge force to attack the knight. However, even if Cloud Dance recaptured the little fat girl from the knight hand, it didn't leave the distance of the knight. The power of the 4 old men working together at the same time actually fell on her. However, even if the 4 old men knew this situation, they would not hesitate, because in addition to the Cloud Dance, the knight is a demon, and they must be killed. Little fat girl, the son of darkness, is to destroy it. All in all, it's definitely cost-effective to sacrifice a human woman to annihilate the son of darkness and a demon. Be careful. Yuzigi's face changed greatly, and his figure flashed, then he went to the air. However, it is still late. Yunwu tightly protects the little fat girl in her arms, shrinks into a ball, and tries to protect her children with her body as a barrier. She knew she couldn't get away with it. However, she was not willing to let her child die like this. Why should her innocent children pay for the so-called purpose of these people? Under the attack of great power, Yunwu's body was smashed in an instant. She couldn't bear the pain, and she was unwilling to let her utter an earth-shaking cry. At that moment, under the impact of the black and white light, the road shrank into a ball to protect the child's body, and was instantly destroyed into a transparent scattering like glass fragments. But in the blink of an eye, a powerful and pure aura suddenly broke out in the body like broken glass. As soon as the aura came out, the power of light in this area seemed to be instantly summoned. The next second, Yunwu's broken body was suddenly agglutinated, and the force of light glued together to restore the original. Green silk flying, holding the child's body tightly, suddenly stretched straight and pitching up. A red totem mark suddenly flashed between the forehead and eyebrows, and a dazzling purple light flashed through the burning blood-red pupil, which brought a mysterious and powerful. When the strange image appeared on Yunwu's body, the huge power of terror around him suddenly seemed to be emptied by something, and disappeared in the air in the blink of an eye. It's gone. The power that was enough to destroy all the people in the nearby town and all the creatures around it completely disappeared, and disappeared in an instant. At night, the 4 old men, Uzigui and even the charm, were shocked by the scene. For a moment no one responded. The young master's cry stopped, with big eyes dripping with tears, and he only stared at his mother in the air. Xiao Peng waved his hand in the air, as if he wanted to hold his mother. But at this time, no one paid attention to him, because everyone's attention was focused on the Cloud Dance, who was floating in the air, and was still in the process of vision change. The big elder's pupil was staring big, and the fear in the bottom of his eyes was proportional to his surprise. This is. The big elder's pupil was staring big, and the fear in the bottom of his eyes was proportional to his surprise. The other 3 old men were also shocked. They opened their eyes and looked at the clouds in the air. But the charm, at this time that pair of deep eyes also many a dark deep thought. I didn't expect that she had something of the Protoss. Whisper, light can only hear. Night at this time look unpredictable. Black eyes also staring at the figure in the air, not in the hands. He can say from the beginning has been watching the cloud grow up, from her appeared on the top of the desert. He has begun to calculate all the plans. I thought that everything would go according to his plan. But unexpectedly Yunwu became the only exception. Yu Guishan, who escaped from him and entered into the bright area, not only gave birth to the son of darkness, but also gave birth to the son of light, which caused this movement. When he knew the news, he knew that Yunwu would no longer be a piece on his chessboard, because she was too difficult to control. Once the pieces on the chessboard are useless, they cannot be left. Today he got the son of darkness, and he didn't intend to keep her. However, she once again surprised him and broke his plan. For the first time, when he looked at the woman in front of him, a very strange idea arose in his heart, which was enough to make his future road full of unpredictable thorns. However, he suddenly felt that a thorny road was better than a road beyond his control. So, at the moment when all the people on the scene were shocked by the scene just now, the night road suddenly came with them, reaching for the Cloud Dance that I don't know if it was in a coma. And the little fat girl has been held in her arms by Yunwu. Let her go. Uzigi was the first to react. At the moment when his eyes were angry, the white figure suddenly jumped up and attacked the knight with clouds. Don't mention that you are the leader of a small clan. Even if you join hands, you can't take anything from me. On the gentle face of the knight, suddenly it is gloomy and cold. The black robe swept in the air, and a black fog streamer accompanied with the killing machine. And the jade came back. Uzigi's face changed slightly. After dodging, he flew to attack again. However, for the knight, it seems that it is just a few easy to deal with. Master, be careful. The four old men came back to their senses when they saw that their patriarch was so desperate to attack. In danger of Yuzi's return, they exclaimed. Four old men flew away again. But at this time, it was just the charm who had been watching the play, but suddenly jumped up in the air, caught everyone by surprise, quickly shot, only to block the four old men's attack. You're trying to stop us. Or do you really want to die? At this time, the two elders looked at the evil spirit of interference. For the Ming Emperor, although they are shouting to fight and kill, they are really reluctant to give up. You know, the Ming Emperor, have problems as soon as they wake up, but we have to say that he is the best immortal talent and strength they have ever had. If that had not happened, his achievements would have been extraordinary. What a pity! What a pity! And this is a pity, but also let the four old man's heart. Since you gave up on her, now others want her, but you want to rob her. Is that the style of your Guangming department? If so, I'm sorry. I can't stand it, so I'm going to do justice for heaven. On the cold face of the enchantment, there was a sense of enchantment. When the four old men heard this, they seemed to have been told a scandal, and their faces were ugly. You rebellious, it seems that we have indulged you too much, and now we are still so crazy. Stop talking to him. Take him down and save our son of light. Elder, let me do it first, so as not to let people say that we cheat less with more. The four elders looked at the other three elders and suddenly attacked the spirit like a meteor. Pa! The two figures from the sky, like meteors, can't see clearly. The other three elders looked at each other, and then tacit understanding did not go to fight, because at this time, they should pay more attention to the fight between Uzigi and the knight. In addition to Uzigi being their patriarch, the more important one is the woman of human world Yunwu. They will never feel wrong at that moment when they are carrying Protoss. The fact that a woman in the human world can possess the things of the Protoss is enough to make them pay close attention from indifference at the beginning. If they could, they would never allow anyone to take her. However, when these people were fighting on both sides, they didn't know that the cloud dance, which was fused with the broken body by the powerful spiritual force, was not really in a coma at this time. Her body was shattered by the power. Although she was fused again under the spirit power of Chaos Hall, her body and soul were in a state of semi-separation and reunion. It's like being in a coma and completely ignorant of the outside world. But in fact, she has a clear sense of the outside world, including what those people say and what they do. I don't know why, Mingming is now in a state of half-soul separation. But Yunwu is extremely calm. Even her previous irrational resentment seems to be resolved by the coldness brought by the deep soul. The soul is still the killer Wufeng from the 21st century. However, at this time, she looked back and saw what had happened in the past few years, but it seemed that she had experienced countless joys and sorrows, and finally, she still became what she is now. Husband Ion Powder. Yes, in fact, it's just a few years, but it's like a life of vicissitudes, with emotion, but more of it is a kind of unspeakable tiredness. Whether it's the human world, the upper world, or even the fairyland now. These people are inseparable from the 5 words greed, hatred, infatuation, and evil. In this world, where can there be a pure land? Half-soul state of cloud dance, coldly looking at the fight for her. The bottom of my heart suddenly rose a very cold Qingming. But Yunwu didn't find that, with what she thought in her heart and the quieter and quieter Qingming at the bottom of her heart. Her body was undergoing earth-shaking changes. The Hall of Chaos, which had been floating and sinking in the sea of her consciousness, suddenly began to rotate rapidly, as if it had lost some support. When it reached the extreme, it began to make a clang sound that was about to collapse. It seems that some parts of the interior are beginning to dissipate. If Yunwu's soul is not half separated at this time, she will find that not only the chaos hall is collapsing, but also the contract slot that has been silent in her eyebrows is disappearing. The contract slot in the middle of the eyebrow is actually the contract bridge formed by Yunwu when he was a summoner. Once the contract slot disappears, the relationship with the contract beast is terminated. At the same time, once the contract slot disappears completely, the contract array will disappear, and the summoner class will return to 0. In other words, without the contract array, she would not be a summoner. The collapse of Chaos Hall means that there will be no Chaos Hall, the god of cheating device. However, at this time, Yunwu knew nothing about this situation. On the contrary, as she looked at it bit by bit, her soul seemed to be enveloped by some kind of emptiness, and her heart became more and more clear as a mirror. As a human, her 7 emotions and 6 desires began to disappear from her original soul. People, once there is no 7 emotions and 6 desires, then wait for the same corpse to walk. Of course, for those who cultivate immortals, it is the best time to become an immortal without 7 emotions and 6 desires. However, Yunwu did not practice the immortal method, and never intended to become the immortal. She's just like, supercilious, but she didn't know that what happened to her also affected many people and things. This is the Dark Cloud Palace in the dark area. In a magnificent hall, the dragon, dressed in gorgeous black robes and sitting upright, suddenly felt a palpitation and trembled. The moment he opened his golden eyes, a beam of light passed under his eyes. It's her. She must be in this fairyland. Besides, something must have happened to her. The throbbing and trembling from the bottom of Long Qingxia's heart made his face turn white gradually. Some strong bad premonition was impacting his reason. He knew that at this time, he could not step out of the scope of the Dark Cloud Palace without the permission of the Lord of the Dark Cloud Palace. This situation was discovered after he awakened to the identity of Dark Emperor. He knew that this Dark Cloud Palace must have done something to him. During this time, he went all over the Dark Cloud Palace and searched the library of the Dark Cloud Palace, trying to find a solution, but all failed. Even, because he walked frequently during this period, he was suspected by those old men. Originally, he intended to take advantage of the time to go to Yuguishan in a few days to find a solution. After all, if he has this kind of restraining power, he can't escape at all. Even if he escapes, he will be captured by the Dark Cloud Palace. And when he is caught back, it is not known what the Dark Cloud Palace will do to his memory, so the only way is to find a way to crack it. That's why he didn't look for it, since he seemed to feel Yunwu's intention last time. But now there is something wrong with Yunwu. Something happened to her. All reason, after knowing this, seems to begin to disintegrate. No, he's going to find her. Long Qingxia suddenly got up from the mat, and then left the hall quickly. But as soon as he left the palace, the maid at the door immediately welcomed them. But at this time, the dragon turned a blind eye to them, and left a shadow behind. Come on, report to the Lord. One of the maids said to the guard on the other side. All of a sudden, he saw several figures moving quickly in several directions. In addition to going to the palace of the patriarch, there were several others going to the hall of the elder. During this period of time, several elders were not quite at ease with the dragon's evil spirit, and they made people keep an eye on it for a long time. Heart Hall. Suzerain, Dark Emperor. A bodyguard who rushed into the hall just wanted to report, but when he saw the people in the hall, he stopped abruptly. At this time, in addition to the leader of their Dark Cloud Palace, the Dark Emperor who just left was also standing on the main hall. Long Qingxia turned his head, and his golden eyes swept the bodyguard with a cold light. However, he didn't say anything. On the contrary, Lianting frowned when he saw the impetuous guard. What's so impetuous? There are no rules. Always gentle as jade, voice low and solemn. The bodyguard trembled and bowed his head to answer respectfully, I know my mistake. Seeing that the Dark Emperor is here, what else can he report? Even the court glanced at the bodyguard and knew what he was coming to report. However, it was not easy for the Dark Emperor to say anything in front of him. So it's just a dignified gesture. Go down and get punished. If you do it again next time, you will not let it go. Yes, the bodyguard quickly stepped back and took the door of the main hall with him. After a while, there was silence in the hall. Lian Ting then raised his eyes slightly and looked at the dragon Qing Xia, who suddenly came to his main hall. The Dark Emperor was interrupted as soon as he spoke. Now there is no outsider. If you have anything to say, you may as well say it directly. Long Qingxia's anxiety and uneasiness didn't show a trace on his face, and he was still arrogant with natural evil spirit. He walked to one side and sat down, then he looked at Lian Ting's eyes. During these days, you must have been monitoring me pretty much, don't you? Although I have lost my memory, it doesn't mean that I have no feelings for the outside world. I don't like to live a life of being watched everywhere. Moreover, during this period, I feel that something is wrong with my body. Do you want to give me an explanation? Even hearing the speech, it seems that he will not be surprised to find out. The Dark Emperor's memory has been lost, so I don't think I can remember it. The Dark Emperor's ability after awakening is connected with the whole Dark Cloud Palace. Even me, I can't intervene. The Dark Emperor will feel uncomfortable, which is inevitable. I believe he will get used to it after a while. Junyi's face is like chatting. But the dragon poured evil smell speech. The eyebrow peak actually a wrinkly. The gold mouth twinkled a silk chili. The habit is good? Do you mean I will be tied up in this dark cloud palace all my life? Of course not. Why did the Dark Emperor think so? Although the ability of the Dark Emperor is related to the survival of the whole Dark Cloud Palace, it is only limited to the influence of power, and will not affect the ordinary words and deeds of the Dark Emperor. During this period of time, the main reason is that the Dark Emperor was injured and just woke up, and there was a lack of memory. I would send people to take care of him in many ways. I didn't expect that the Dark Emperor would feel uncomfortable. Lian Ting explained with a smile, without the arrogance and indifference of the patriarch at the beginning. As a matter of fact, this Lian Ting, with a handsome and warm face, would really look like a gentle child full of literary and artistic atmosphere, if he could only slightly restrain the master's momentum. It's disgusting, but on the contrary, Long Qingxia doesn't like this kind of Lian Ting, because it's more unreal and unpredictable. However, the purpose of his coming here is not to expose himself for the sake of asking questions, but to give himself a reason to leave the Dark Cloud Palace. Because he felt that something must have happened to Yunwu now. But if the court doesn't allow him, he will break out of the Dark Cloud Palace even at the risk of being found. This time I come here, in addition to explaining to the Patriarch what I just said, I have another thing to say to the Patriarch. Long Qingxia's golden eyes looked at Lian Ting without reservation, and there was no emotion in the light. Lian Ting said with a faint smile, "The Dark Emperor might as well speak directly. I want to leave this Dark Cloud Palace and go out to have a look. I haven't set foot anywhere except this Dark Cloud Palace since I woke up a few months ago. This time, I want to go to Yuguishan in a few days and set out a few days in advance. Start early." Even the court smells speech seemed to can't help but stir up the eyebrow of meditation. Long Qingxia's face was as usual, not in a hurry. In the moment of meditation, Lian Ting's eyes have been staring at the dragon's evil eyes. There is a trace of exploration in the bottom of the eyes, and he is looking at something. However, in addition to Qingming, the dragon's evil golden eyes were calm, not like other signs. After thinking for a while, Lian Ting said with a gentle smile, "It's no problem that the Dark Emperor has such a plan. I don't know how many disciples the Dark Emperor plans to take, and when to start. I'll go right away." Long Qingxia didn't answer the question in front of him. In fact, if he had a choice, he didn't want to take anyone from the Dark Cloud Palace, but this is not the time for him to lose his mind. As long as you leave the Dark Cloud Palace, things will be much easier to do. Even the court is quite surprised to pick Eyebrow Wei. Immediately set out. Yes. If the Patriarch feels that he is in a hurry, then I can have a good time. Long Qingxia seems to be anxious, but quite indifferent to add such a sentence. This time, on the contrary, even court inexplicable some see-through. But he had a plan to let the tiger go back to the mountain for a long time. Now the dragon has suddenly put forward such a request. Isn't it the right time to implement it? So even the court agreed. As for how to arrange the incense burning time, and how to arrange the disciples to follow him out, Long Qingxia has not paid much attention to it. Now he felt more and more uneasy. The time of burning incense seemed like half a century in his eyes. He suffered a lot but could not show it. It was hard for ordinary people to understand the pain. Wu Er, wait for me. You must wait for me. Upper bound. Looking for a few months failed, but still dare not give up. Nangong Yi and others, also in that moment, suddenly feel flustered, uncertain uneasiness, at the same time filled in several people's hearts. Tacit understanding. So, a few people originally group around looking for, but after that flustered, a few people at the same time from all directions toward the original position they agreed to go. Something happened to Yunwu, especially Hongling, Lanyu and Baixuir. The three of them, except that Hongling and Yunwu are connected by blood. The other two are also related by contract with Yunwu. Although a few months ago, somehow, their contractual bridge with Yunwu was blocked, making them unable to sense the existence of Yunwu, they all knew that there was still a contractual relationship between them. This means Cloud Dance is still alive. However, today they also feel that the contract between them and Yunwu has changed, and the relationship between them is gradually disappearing. The contract is disappearing. They all know what it means. Their owners have had an accident, or even are losing their lives. That kind of panic, let them all lost their square inch. Human world. Yunfu. Yunqi was listening to the news that he was looking for Yunwu in the hall. It was there that he suddenly felt a little flustered. That feeling, let him understand very quickly come over. Small Dance has an accident. All the time, he never gave up looking for his granddaughter. For the news that he didn't find anyone, he insisted that no news was good news. However, this sudden panic but let the old man who lost his granddaughter, in an instant and several years old, and Yun Lengyi, who is looking for this place on the other side, also suddenly feels something. Even Gao Yu and Bai Qingshui make Xian Tian feel uneasy. The same panic and uneasiness, like tacit understanding, spread to everyone who has an important relationship with Yunwu. Perhaps, this also has something to do with the power of Bailao's rescue. However, their anxieties and worries do not seem to be able to convey to another empty world. They are in the process of dissipation. How cold! She has been looking at all the Cloud Dances coldly, and suddenly feels a chill coming from the depth of her soul, which makes her feel cool. Clearly, everything is just a passing cloud, will eventually turn into a cup of lust. What are these people fighting for? The world? Power and influence? Or fame? These are not important to the people who cultivate immortals. So what are they fighting for? I do not know why, has been watching the outside world is still fighting a few people in the cloud. My mind suddenly began to ponder this problem. Yay, what are you fighting for? Cloud Dance, that pair of misty eyes twinkled a little doubt empty. As if, a lot of things began to fade away from her memory. What are you fighting for? The more you think about a problem, the more empty your brain becomes. It seems that something is disappearing from her mind. It's very important, but the more you think about it, the less you can remember it. Inexplicably, Yunwu suddenly felt flustered and felt that she wanted to catch something, but she didn't remember what to catch. In the end, what is it? What are those people fighting for? This is the problem again. Yunwu doesn't know why she has been thinking about this question. It seems that she has been thinking about the answer to this question in her mind. But she couldn't remember the answer. So she wanted to ask those people, what are they fighting for? But Yunwu soon found that she couldn't make a sound. Her throat was burning like something. Her whole body was torn by something. And then she was forced to glue, tear, glue, repeat, repeat, repeat. Does it hurt? Seems to have no pain is what feeling because she forgot. However, she felt the cold rising from the depths of her soul, as deep as the frost. Outside. The night when I was fighting with Yuzigi, after avoiding another attack of Yuzigi, suddenly stopped. Because just at that moment he felt a strange feeling from the woman in his arms. When he looked down at the sleeping woman in his arms, his face suddenly changed. Cloud Dance. A cry, accompanied by a slight tremor of the body. At that moment, a piercing cold, straight into his body blood blink of an eye. You can see his whole body is covered with a layer of frost. Originally holding Cloud Dance's hand, also forced to let go. The temperature in the air drops in a flash. Then with the speed of the naked eye, the vegetation around the mountains are quickly beginning to frost cold. What did you do to her? Jade's sun return originally continued to attack of posture suddenly a close. Looking at that is wrapped by the ice Cloud Dance. The facial expression deep anger asks Night. On the other hand, Mei, who was fighting with 4 old men, was stopped by this sudden situation. Within a radius of 10 li, they were covered with a layer of white frost. Even a few people with extremely high accomplishments felt a chill deep into the bone marrow. What the hell is going on? The 4 old men, seeing this, changed their looks, and the horror in their eyes could not be concealed, but they all looked at the cloud dancing in the air on the other side. The source of cold is from her. Enchantment in the heart is also once again startled. Cloud Dance once again gave him an accident. But at this time, the young master in his arms turned pale. His trembling body gave out a whimper, but his breath weakened. The cold in the air was too much for him. When the charm found this situation, frown, subconsciously will arm small body to hold a point. It seems that the plan will be broken again. Your mother, it's really bad for me. Muttering sounds like saying to the baby in her arms, but it seems to be talking to herself. The charm of that deep eyes. A deep glance at the other side of the white frost wrapped under the cloud. Eyes flashed a deep. If you cannot die, want children, come to me. This time, the voice is not big, but it is not small. See, also didn't wait for those 4 old men to come back to God. Enchantment that figure turn into a streamer. Extremely fast disappear in another end. When the 4 old men reacted, they wanted to catch up, but they couldn't find any trace. Damn, the Son of Light was taken away by him. I don't know if it will. The words of the 3 elders changed the faces of the other 3 elders. Their original goal was for the Son of Light, but unexpectedly, the Son of Light was taken away in front of their eyes again. How could they feel better? Frost, covering a radius of 10 miles. In this frost-covered area, the temperature has been falling slowly. Breathing can bring up a burst of white air. What the hell is going on? Did you do anything to her? Yuzi Gajuni's face is a little worried. He wants to get close to the past, but he is forced back by the cold. His spiritual power can't break the frost. Night dark transport capacity, small half-ring just the body that layer of frost to melt away. I didn't do anything to her. Facing the question of Yuzi Gui, he just answered such a sentence. The power of magic bite. In the cold frost just now, he felt a special flavor of the demon family from her. What's going on? He had fought with her on the top of the desert before, and she had used the power of Moya, but she didn't feel any special flavor of the demons in the power of Moya. But just in the frost he felt it. And also because there is the power of demons in the frost, so it took him a little time to melt the frost. But a woman in the human world, and also the blood of the so-called witch saint in the fairyland, how can she have the power of the demon family? You know, the demons will become a race feared by all races. In addition to the fact that the demons are ruthless and impermanent, and are classified as evil, the most important reason is that the cultivation methods of the demons are too evil, cruel and overbearing. Once the practitioners of other nationalities choose a path of cultivation, they will go all the way to the end, and they can't practice in different ways. Otherwise, once there is a little improper cultivation, it is easy to fall into the evil way and be destroyed. But the demons don't. They can practice in any way, including sacrificing the living beings. They can also integrate into the cultivation of any race, and there is no saying that they will enter the demons. Although the Cloud Dance is not the so-called cultivator of immortals, it is even more frightening that an ordinary mortal will have the power of demons. What the hell is going on? Is she a demon? No way, no way. She is a witch, not a demon. So what's going on? In fact, he also wants to know this question, but who can he ask? Aren't you a demon? Find a way. The first time that Yuzigi was so angry that he lost his identity, he felt that her vitality was passing away little by little, and if it went on like this, she would die. It turned out that he cared more about her than he thought. Night to Jade's sun return of attitude, eyebrow a wrinkly, but see that Cloud Dance under the frost. and that is still tightly hugged by her in the arms of little fat girl. Heart bottom also anxious. Son of darkness, nothing can happen. Let all of you get out of 10 miles away, Yuzigue said. Yuzi turned around and looked at the elder and others on the other side. He amplified. Elder, you leave here first. Lord, how can this be done? Yes, maybe we can help with the situation of that girl, but don't trust the demons. The demons are cunning. Don't be fooled by him, Lord. Hearing Yuzi's words, the second, third and fourth elders obviously didn't agree. Well, since the patriarch has ordered us to leave 10 miles away, we'll talk about it later. But the elder said with dignity. After looking at the cloud dance, he looked at Yuzi and said, Lord, we will wait for you 10 miles away. If there is anything, we just need to summon by the sound transmission technique, and we will come right away. After that, he didn't wait for Yuzi to open his mouth, so he flew away first. Others may not know it, but he can see it more clearly than anyone else. Their patriarch is afraid that it is difficult to escape the disaster. He only hopes that the doomed disaster will have a good ending. And the only thing he can do for their lord is to support him unconditionally. Because this road is his own choice. The other three elders wanted to say something, but in the end they kept silent. After a deep look at their patriarch, he left in the direction of the elder with no choice but to shake his head. After a while, there was silence all around. Say it, how to do it. Yuzigi looks at the night. The night looked at the cloud dance, which was wrapped by the frost more and more thick. After a long time, he turned to look at Yuzi and said, Master, you seems to care about this girl very much? Are you in love with her? Don't talk nonsense. Yuzigi's words came down coldly. Tut tut, I didn't expect that the Lord of Yuguishin would be attracted to women one day. However, it's much better than that disgusting self-conceit. Yuzigi's face sank. Night just then inexplicably said, Don't tease you, want to break this frost, only need one thing, but afraid of Jade Lord reluctant to take out. Yuzi glanced at him and frowned. What is it? Your inner Dan. After the cultivation of immortals, the inner elixir will begin to form in the elixir field. The higher the accomplishments, the more powerful the inner alchemy is. In other words, the inner alchemy of the cultivator is his life. Once the inner alchemy is broken, it is like a useless person. If you want to cultivate the inner elixir, you can't get the inner elixir of an immortal cultivator, no matter how powerful you are. My Neden? Yuzigi's face changed slightly. What Niden stands for must be very clear to any cultivator. If I remember correctly, Master Yu, you are practicing the extreme yang skill, aren't you? What can break the frost is your extreme yang inner pill. Night looking at Jade's son returned light explanation. But he still said one thing less, that is, in addition to breaking the frost on Yunwu, he also needed his Jiang Niden to break the last seal. The reason why he chose to meet the Son of Darkness in the grove outside this small town is not that this is the edge of the light system, but that this is the only weak place that he has been looking for hundreds of years to connect the seal of the demons. Yuzigi's appearance was originally expected by him, but what surprised him was what happened to Yunwu at this time. But Yuzigi's feelings for Yunwu gave him unexpected joy. He was still thinking about how to return from this Jade Sun to his extreme yang inner pill, but he didn't expect to send himself to the door. Of course, the inner elixir is related to the life of Master Yu. If Master Yu can't bear it, it's reasonable. After all, this girl has nothing to do with you. Looking at the face of Jade Sun returned to change, Night a pair of understanding like grace say. However, his eyes turned pitifully to Yunwu. She still has the Son of Darkness in her arms. Once she dies, the Son of Darkness will not survive. Isn't that what your bright faction has been hoping for? On the contrary, congratulations to Master Yu. Jade's son returned to smell speech, but didn't buy his that seemed to retreat actually then advance of urge left and right. Deep black eyes with a glimmer of unclear streamer, quietly looking at the cloud dance under the frost. On Junyi's face, I can't see any emotion at this time. It's hard to guess. Half a ring. You really only need my Neden to save her? The Jade Sun returns to see toward night, The facial expression covers this layer of obscure color. The knight nods. Your extreme yang inner pill plus my strength. It's no problem to melt away the chill on her. Good. I'll give you Nathan, but I hope you can keep your promise. After Uzigi said that, he didn't have any hesitation. Even without hesitation. With the palm close to the abdomen, use the spirit power to force the inner elixir on the elixir field, and lead it out slowly from the inner body. This process seems to make him feel uncomfortable, but Uzigi's face does not change. When he opened his mouth, a red bead flew out of his mouth. At the moment when Jiang Naiden came out, the temperature that had been dropping suddenly seemed to be forced into baking by a blazing fire, and the temperature began to rise in the descending radian. The frost began to melt. And this change, all just in the jade sun, returned to inside Dan that 10 seconds of that inside body of change. It seems that Jiang Naiden can really dissolve the ice on Yunwu. Night saw an eye jade sun to return in the hand of inside Dan. The eye ground extremely quickly twinkled to pass a put-on happy color, but also be concealed very quickly. Don't worry, I will keep my promise. The knight said at the same time, then toward Jade Sun returned stretched out a hand. It may be that Naiden is out of body, which has some influence on Uzigi. Bearing the discomfort of the body, Uzigi sends Naiden to the hand of that knight. Z. A burst of barbecue flavor accompanied by ZZ sound, suddenly sounded in this quiet space. Knight seems to ignore his palm burned by Jiang Inner Pill. Looking at the hands of Jiang Inner Pill, as if the joy of the bottom of my heart is hard to hide. A happy smile in the corner of my mouth. Jiang Naiden, I didn't expect that, master, you could really do this for this girl. It's really rare. Although he said that, the knight was full of joy. The burned hand turned, and Jiang Naiden floated from the air wrapped by his black fog power. The power of extreme darkness, wrapped in the inner elixir of extreme yang, naturally sends out a trace of rejection and counterattack. Knight but hook lips a smile, a strange and powerful force, on the contrary forced to suppress. Naiden is suppressed by the extremely keen power of mutual repulsion, and Uzigui's body is also affected instantly. After an uncontrolled earthquake, his face turned pale as paper. If it wasn't for the fishy sweetness gushing from his throat, he would have vomited blood in his mouth. You. Don't worry, if I don't use my strength to wrap your Jiang Inner Pill, I'm afraid that it will destroy the square hundredly. Master, you should know very well that it's not difficult to destroy the square hundredly thing with your strength. The explanation of Yexiaxio. But the change in his look made people wonder whether what he said was true or false. I saw that after the extreme sun inner pill was covered by black fog and floated, it began to slowly move towards the cloud wrapped by frost. The speed of the movement is not fast, almost very slow. But the naked eye can see that under the black fog, Jiang Naiden began to emit a hot red light, like a small sun hanging in mid-air, spreading around. The heat, with a masculine air, began to melt the frost in the surrounding vegetation. The frost layer wrapped with clouds also began to melt in the approach of Jiang Naiden. Uzigi had been staring at the movement of Yunwu. Seeing that the frost on her body began to melt, his pale face seemed relieved. But at the moment, his body swayed like a dead tree destroyed by the cold wind. It turned out that the forced suppression of Naiden in the black fog made him suffer the same pain. If it wasn't for him, I was afraid that he would have been dizzy. I wish she was okay. It's okay. It seems that this sentence has been echoing in his mind. And this sentence also makes his pale face pull up a smile that is uglier than crying. Cloud dance consciousness gradually wakes up from the cold darkness, and the chill that had gone deep into the bone marrow seems to have retreated from the body. Where is this? Cloud dance in front of a huge lake, in the dark of a red star shining. The lake's surface shining like crystal general brilliance, very beautiful. However, it was so quiet that the silence was terrible. She suddenly felt some fear in her heart. But what was she afraid of? She doesn't know. Yunwu looks at the lake in the dark with doubts, and thinks about finding the answer from his memory. But no. The memory is empty. I can't find anything. Therefore, Cloud Dance can only stare at the huge lake with empty eyes, silent and silent. But I don't know the original half-soul state of her. At this time the soul was once again integrated into the body. However, The difference is that her original sea of consciousness has turned into the huge lake. However, the chaotic palace that existed in the sea of consciousness before has been broken and sunk into the lake. As for whether it has disappeared, no one can know for the moment. And the contract slot in the middle of the cloud-dancing eyebrow also disappeared in the reorganization and fusion after the body was broken. Contract array disappears, summoner returns to 0. At this time of the body, like the chaos of the new reorganization, there is no so-called past life, only birth. However, the green air flow in her dantian still exists. Mu Longting still entangled in her new wrist, but it seems to fall into a silent sleep. The frost melted and the temperature rose. Floating in the black fog in the mid-air, Jiang Naiden was not recovered. But after the ice on Yunwu's body melted, Naiden suddenly shrouded Yunwu's body under the force of the black fog. No, not Yunwu's body, but the sleeping little fat girl in Yunwu's arms. Hot Guanghua, with extremely strong yang force, straight into the little fat girl's body. Some kind of boundary is broken. Originally still sleeping little fat girl, with the sound of breaking sound, slowly wake up. However, the agglutination of the light beam wrapped in her body was like a corrosive poison to her, and the original white skin suddenly began to become red and swollen. Soon the skin began to be hot, rolling, burning. Zizi sound slightly sounded. Little fat girl had just woken up from her lethargy. Her consciousness was still in a confused state, and her reaction was half a beat slower. But soon the unbearable pain on her body made her cry out. Woo-ah! The child's cry, sadling such as Blade, suddenly let Jade's son to face big change. What are you doing to the children? Yuzigi shouts loudly. Then his hands close, just like the seal of Jiefa. He wants to force his inner elixir back. But Yuzigi soon found that he couldn't control it. His inner Dan was forced by the power of the black fog. Once again the sad cry, broken air sounded. At that moment, Yuzigi felt angry. Even if it was the evil in the rumor and had to be eradicated, Yuzigi felt very upset at this time. Especially when he saw that the child was under his inner alchemy, and his whole body was boiling with oil, and his anger came from the bottom of his heart. That's her baby. Even if he can't kill her, he won't allow others to kill her. Yuzigi once again tried his best to urge him to take back his inner elixir from the control of the night. Night hard to wait until this opportunity. How can let the most meat to fly? A black fog strengthened. The light of Jiang Naiden was more dazzling. The cry of the child became more and more miserable. But the night seems not to hear like that pair of black eyes in the flicker of a strange light, fundus deep in the excitement and persistent gloomy more and more rich. Soon. As long as the Son of Darkness insists, the seal of this weak area will be opened. It took him so many years to wait for the birth of the Dark Sun, and the inner elixir of Jiyang came to the door automatically, just in the weak seal area. It's just like it was meant to be. Now that everything is ready, he is not polite. Today he must break the seal of his demons. How many years have they been sealed by these fairyland people? I can hardly remember the night. However, he remembers clearly that at the beginning, it was these fairyland sects who, for high-sounding reasons, united to seal their whole demon clan in that hellish place. All that they have received will be returned to them one day. The evil intention of killing flashed through the evil eyes, and the gentle temperament was replaced by the gloomy breath. Awu! A baby's shrill cry suddenly sounded on the huge lake in the frightfully silent starry night. Empty and dull. Looking at the clouds dancing on the surface of the sparkling lake, suddenly my body was shocked, as if scared by the sudden cry. However, it seems to be affected by the cry. Memory is a blank. She did not know where the cry came from, but the sad cry, but inexplicably hurt her heart. Whose child is that crying? There was another sad cry. Cloud dance body once again a shock, heart once again from the heart of the general heartache, the original empty star eye flashing a beam. Whose child? When the third cry came out, Yunwu's heartache, which was cut by a knife, surged up like a flood. Child. What happened when the child cried so bitterly? The stabbing pain in the heart and inexplicable rising anxiety and anger make the blank memory space have some cracks, like something is about to come out. However, it is still a little short. Ah. More and more close to the children's wind cry, but in the fourth sound of sad cry obviously began to weaken. Yunwoo's body was suddenly shocked, as if something was forced to break through in his body, and crazy anger rolled up in his empty eyes. She didn't know where her anger came from, but with the inexplicable confusion, the huge lake, which was calm in the dark, suddenly began to turbulence. Child. What happened to the kid? Why does she feel so sad when she hears a child crying? Cloud Dance's thoughts are in a mess. What's in the originally dull and empty star eyes is twinkling, looking at the lake that is no longer calm, racking brains to find the answer. Actually, she wants to leave here, but she can't. Her body was fixed on the edge of the lake, unable to enter or retreat. Ah! The cry of the child was as painful as 10,000 knives inserted into her heart. She's going to get out of here. All of a sudden, I don't know if Cloud Dance has too much obsession. Suddenly, there is a breath in the rigid body, and it starts to run automatically. Moreover, it tends to run faster and faster. Yunwoo doesn't know what happened, but subconsciously guides, operates and circulates, and every time she runs for a week, Yunwoo suddenly finds that there is a black and white bead in her body, and the breath of running into her body is joyfully around the bead in her body and slowly infiltrates into it. Gradually, Yunwoo found that the child's cry became clearer and clearer, and her body began to move. She felt some inexplicable excitement at the bottom of her heart, beating a little fast. If there were no great changes happening outside, Uzgui and Ye would surely find out. Unfortunately, at this time, the outside world has fallen into a sea of flames under the scorching sun. Originally in the frost can see plants and plants, but now in this sea of fire turned into dead trees and ashes, around a mess of burning. Yuzi is because Niden is out of the body. The remaining power in the body can't resist the fire of the extreme yang, which is forced to release by the black fog. The whole person is like being hit hard by a transparent and powerful afterwave energy, falling on the ground and raising dust all over the ground. Poof! A mouthful of blood, finally still can't help spraying out. Uzigi endured the tumultuous pain in his body, and raised his head to look up into the air. He was controlling the night of his inner pill. You break your promise. You're not trying to save her. What do you want to do? Stop, or the child will be burned to ashes. In the roar with anger, with the strain and hoarseness caused by the injury, the Jiang Niden, which was wrapped in black fog, was just like the fiery sun. It not only wrapped the little fat girl in Yunwoo's arms, but also extended flames to the ground in all directions. His behavior is definitely not simply for Cloud Dance to relieve frost. It's like for the angry cry of Uzigi. The knight just smiles, like a sneer and a disdainful glance at him. Oh, promise? We demons don't know what the meaning of those two words is. Of course, if you could promise us at the beginning, how could it be today? Do you want to break the seal? This conjecture, let Jade's Sun return pupil 1 shrink, the facial expression changes. Looking at the ground spread by the fire, a dark and mysterious tongue to array looms. The knight is both excited and excited. I can't help but want to share it with others. It seems that you are not stupid, but for a woman, you are willing to offer Jiang Niden with both hands. I can't help but be moved by Master Yu's sacrifice. Don't worry, the seal will be broken soon. At that time, our demons will have a chance to go down to Master Yu's door to have tea, haha. The mountain was almost bare by the fire. Suddenly the temperature dropped, and the fire on the ground began to spread along the mysterious totem. Soon the flame was about to form, and the orderly Tungtu was printed on the ground. If you look down from a high place, you can see clearly that this totem has the shape of a phoenix. The only difference is that the eyes of the phoenix are extremely dark, just like two black holes. The black hole's eyes are just below Yunwoo and the child, and the inner elixir of the extreme sun floats above Yunwoo and the child. 3 points in a line, the fiery red beam, shot down from Niden, passed through the weak little fat girl's body, and reached the eyes. The little fat girl was as bloody as she had been fished out of the boiling oil. She was in great pain, but she couldn't die for a moment. Just the shrill cry more and more weak. But the knight doesn't care about it. Instead, it urges the extreme yang inner pill to break the seal on the ground in one fell swoop, so as not to dream too much. The four old men 10 miles away knew something was wrong when the extreme yang inner pill was powerful. However, the inner pill of the extreme yang set a boundary in a certain position when it opened the seal. This is also to prevent the knight in breaking the seal when there is damage. The four old men were just outside the border. Elder, what can we do? Once we break through the barrier set by the power of the Lord's extreme yang, it will certainly do harm to the Lord. The elder asked anxiously. The four didn't know that Wuxia was under the control of the knight. They just thought that the power border was set by their patriarch. The elder also has a deep brow. What are they doing? Even in order to save that girl, it's not as good as destroying the creatures in 100 miles? Is it related to the demon? But if we fight according to the strength of both sides, on the contrary, the strength of their patriarch is a little higher, then the demons are better, and there should be no big accident. But what's the matter with the high temperature around here? They didn't hear the call of Wuxia, and there was the border set by the power of the extreme yang in front of them. They didn't know whether they should break the border and go in to check. Wait a little longer. Finally, the elder decided to give their patriarch some time. However, he did not know that their delay almost led to disaster. Jade returns to the mountain. Cloud Palace. The strange statue in the center of the hall suddenly flashed a light, and the vivid eyes seemed to move for a while. Then the stone statue suddenly vibrated. It seems to be activated by something, but the vibration is only maintained for a short time, and then the calm is restored. If the four elders of Wuxia or Wuxia didn't leave the sect, they would feel the movement. It's a pity that those who can live in the sect are those who are not qualified to enter the temple. So missed? The road to the light zone. Long Qingxia's almost all-out spiritual power was raised. He didn't care whether the people following him could keep up with him. He only felt that if he didn't hurry up he would lose something. That sense of panic, as more and more close to the bright area, more and more clear. Long Qingxia gritted his teeth to improve his flying speed again, but that was his fastest speed. All the scenes around him turned into streamers, and there was little breath left. That speed, like a ray of light across the air, faster and more urgent than a meteor. Those who had followed him could catch up at first, but they were still far behind. They want to stop Long Qingxia and slow him down. Unfortunately, as soon as he left the Dark Cloud Palace, Long Qingxia could not cover up any more. He just obeyed his own feelings and went madly in the direction where Yunwu was now. Wait for him. Wait for him. More and more flustered, let Long Qingxia force himself to improve his speed again. The child's crying is almost out of hearing. Yunwu is speeding up the operation of his breath, urging him to absorb the bead quickly, so that he can leave here and see what happened to the child. Maybe it's Yunwu's urging speed is fast enough, or maybe Yunwu is anxious to know what happened to the crying child. I saw that the dark sky with only a red star suddenly began to fade. Fade, gray, light gray. Gradually, the light began to cut through the gray sky, shrouded in her body. The light was a little harsh, but Yunwu felt that his body was no longer stiff and could not move. But then came the pain of burning her chest. It was as if she was holding a piece of red iron, which made her very painful. Almost at the moment when I opened my eyes, I was subconsciously about to shake off the hot iron in my arms. But as soon as the gesture of throwing out was raised, all the movements of Yunwu were still. With a trace of confused star eyes, when you see what you have in your hands, Yunwu only feels hazy in front of her eyes, and a huge anger and heartache attack her in her chest. Child. The hot iron in her arms is actually a child. The smell of burnt barbecue is bloody. Cloud Dance only feel a blank in the mind, but the body subconsciously hold the hands of the child once again tightly into the arms, as if can't feel the burning pain disappeared. Child. Misty eyes, tears unconscious slide, dripping on the bloody child. Aroused Zizi's tragic voice. This movement has affected the sad little fat girl who has closed her eyes. She slowly opens her eyes to see her mother, who finally wakes up. However, just open your eyes, as if exhausted all her strength. Blood bubbles are constantly broken in the high temperature and come out again, bloody and cruel. Who on earth is so cruel to such a small child? At the bottom of Yunwu's heart, she was extremely distressed and angry, But the next moment, she led the black and white round bead and disulfin energy from her palm, followed the movement of the energy, and sent it to the bloody child in her arms. Mom. It hurts energy into the body. The little fat girl opened her eyes, burning hoarse voice, called out her mother for the first time. Mom. 2 words, like a big hammer, suddenly hit her head. After buzzing, the wall of blank memory finally broke. Memory fragments hit, like a beast, quickly dyed her eyes red. Her child. This is her child. Yunwu only felt that her throat was dry and tight, and the faster she could send her own energy into her child's body. But she could not hide her tempestuous fury in her red tears. If she dares to hurt her child, she must tear the man to pieces. But looking at the weak dying, bloody daughter in her arms, the cloud-dancing fury is still less than 1/10,000th of heartache. Don't be afraid, Mom will protect you. Yunwu lowers her head and kisses her forehead, where the blood bubble is not half separated, and pours the pure energy in her body directly into her small head through her lips, and into the sea of consciousness in her mind. She didn't know how much pure spiritual power she had in her body, but she felt that this spiritual power could heal her wounds and protect her. To pure spiritual power into energy, from the mind began to spread the whole body, fast swimming. The skin that had been burned by blood blisters was moistened, and restored by the miraculous power. The skin began to slow down its temperature, began to eliminate the blood blisters, and then slowly healed the split wound at that moment. A steady stream of pure spiritual power seeped out in the position of cloud dance. The original hot beam seemed to lose its brilliance at that moment. The seal crack on the ground, which was about to be formed, stopped at that moment, and the faint halo began to recede. No way. How could she? At the moment of sensing the change of the aura, the knight looks at the cloud dance with slight amazement. But it's just a step to the door. He can't just let that woman destroy him. Even for the sake of the demon clan and his painstaking efforts over the years, he would not allow anyone to destroy his plan. Gloomy black eyes across a fierce. The hand of the seal suddenly complicated. Fast up, all over the body suddenly covered by black fog. The sky also gradually began to cloud. You asked for it. Originally he did not intend to kill them. The Son of Darkness is the necessary bridge to open the seal border. He doesn't give up killing, but Yunwu the woman has a great use value for him. However, if they want to resist and obstruct his plan at this time, don't blame him for being merciless. This seal must be broken. As long as the seal can be torn from here, the demons will be able to return to the fairyland continent from here, and regain everything belonging to them. They have to sacrifice for the sake of the demons. Heart set, the night that deep eyes no longer any trace of pity hesitation, and even, in the absence of emotional fluctuations, is that cruel, decisive. With the dark clouds in the sky, the black fog that enveloped Jiangnaiden suddenly turned gloomy, as if it suddenly became extremely haze and ferocious. Yuzi Gui on the ground had no time to wake up, and his body was attacked by some force. Yes, he covered his chest with his hand, and a mouthful of blood gushed out on the spot. His face was pale and frightening, but Yuzigi still looked up and looked straight at the cold night. If you dare to move her, even if you go to the ends of the earth, I will certainly tear you to pieces. Hoarse voice with anger, but because of serious injury and hard to make people cannot hear the threat. The knight just glanced at him coldly, then crooked his lips and disdained to smile. Also at that time, floating in the clouds above them that was wrapped in the black fog of the extreme sun and Disulfin, once again forced to arouse the most powerful beam. The dazzling red beam of light struck down like lightning. Yunwu, who was still inputting spiritual power to the child, saw the light beam. When she saw the light beam, her body was faster than her brain's reaction. She suddenly turned over, protected the child under her body, and resisted the light beam with her own back. It's not that she doesn't want to flash to the side, but that their surroundings have been trapped by the boundary of Jiangnaiden, forming a limited channel of Jiangnaiden, they the ground 3 points and a line. Zizi. The clothes on the back were burned instantly, the flesh and blood were roasted in high temperature. The light beam went through the body, and entered the little fat girl's body again, and entered the seal on the ground. However, this time because of the cloud dance on it, the power of the light beam on the little fat girl was reduced a lot. Mamuwu. Yunwu was convulsed in pain. He held little fat girl's palm, but still infused her with a few spiritual powers in her body. He pulled the corner of his mouth and said, "Don't be afraid, there's a mother." Little fat girl wanted to cry, but looking at her mother, she put up with it. Her skin, which had not been repaired, began to get red and swollen again. She is in pain, but her mother must be more. The little hand that began to blister again touched Yunwu's red and swollen face and gave her a painful blow. "Mom, hoo-hoo." At this moment, Yunwu doesn't feel the pain on her body, but she feels her heartache is going to be full of holes. Her children. It's only been more than 2 months. Since she gave birth to her, she hasn't given her a good day except for hiding and wandering. However, she is much more sensible than ordinary people. Now her whole body is burning with blood blisters, and she can't help the pain even as an adult, but she still breathes comfort for her frustrated mother. Tears like open the gate like, can no longer help falling. Yunwu suddenly felt that if she was not so useless, would her child not suffer such a crime? Night did not expect that cloud dance again to make trouble. Although the power of Jiang inner elixir passed through the two people, there was a cloud dance on it, but the bridge of dark sun was weakened, which would only slowly break the seal. When the seal is broken, I believe it will soon attract those old people. At that time, it will not be so easy to break the seal. Damned woman, she's really ignorant. Okay, I'll destroy you first. The night suddenly flashed, and the figure wrapped in black fog came to the middle of the 3 o'clock line. That is, the side of Cloud Dance. Although Cloud Dance is burned by the light beam as if it is about to turn into ashes, but also in the night to feel, look up, red eyes directly on the cold eyes. At this time of the night, the whole body is full of chili, so I'm afraid that is his real appearance as a demon. Remember, even if I become a ghost, one day I will come back and tear down your bones and skin. The breath is weak, but every word in the words is very heavy and clear. I hope you have another chance. The night has no expression. The wrist moves, the black fog turns into a sharp blade, has already delimited that boundary, has attacked the chest position of the cloud dance. The cloud dance dully to hum the corner of the mouth blood oozes out. Originally thought, the knife into the heart. She will die, no doubt. Once the human body died, no spiritual support. The power of the extreme young inner alchemy can instantly turn her body into ashes. But no, it's not dead, it's not reduced to ashes. See cloud dance in dull hum. The body slightly vibrated for a while, next second. Night that gloomy facial expression suddenly changed for a while. Some can't believe to stare at cloud dance that knife into chest position. The black fog magic knife was still in the chest, but the blood was quickly turned into nothingness by a white light, including the blade inserted into the flesh and blood, which disappeared under the white light, leaving only the exposed one. How could that be? How could she, however? People don't know that the body of Yunwu's Fantai had been crushed to pieces under the previous strength. Now her body seems to be restored by the adhesion of fragments. In fact, every cell and pore of her body is reshaped by the pure spiritual power in the Hall of Chaos. Its super healing ability is beyond ordinary people's understanding. Otherwise, Chaos Hall will not be able to rebuild her body, but because it outputs too much spiritual power, it will not be able to support, break down and become the huge lake in the sea of her consciousness. Of course no one knows. Even Yunwu herself, she doesn't know why. Even some memories are still in the process of not recovering. Although the night was shocked and unbelievable, it also quickly reflected that the dark eyes had been staring at her. Soon the corner of his mouth outlined strangely. It seems that other things can't hurt you, but the power of the extreme young inner pill can. Under the light beam of Jiang Naiden, Yunwu's body was burned, and there was no healing at all. So it can be seen that this Jiang Naiden can hurt her. Yuzigi calms down his own heavy damage and disorderly breath, and naturally hears the words behind the night. Does he want to kill her with Jiang Naiden? He soon saw the answer with his own eyes. Night is to achieve the goal can be unscrupulous people, and even can do cold-blooded ruthless also at all costs. As long as the seal can be broken, all those who hinder his road plan will die. The light beam of Jiang Naiden was strengthened again. Not only the flowers and plants all around were destroyed, But even the ground began to crack because of the high temperature. Under the scorching heat, this area is like entering a sea of hellfire. Looking at the knight without hesitation or change of face, Yuzigi's face changed greatly. Regardless of his weakness, he jumped up and flew to the cloud, trying to stop the attack, which was like destroying heaven and earth. But even if he was faster and faster, he still couldn't be faster than the power of lightning. Seeing that Yunwu and the child were about to be destroyed, Yuzigi never felt so powerless. But at that moment, the boundary of space seemed to be suddenly knocked open by something. Boom! The roar still reverberated in the air. But the residual shadow of the streamer had already flashed into the position of a large and a small blood person under the light beam of the extreme Yang Naiden. Dazzling and dazzling light. Just at the same time when the Jiang Naiden beam attacked the streamer, burst out like fireworks. Eyes can't open, hot power wave swept around. Kaka! Within the boundary of 3 o'clock in a line, there was a sudden sound of glass breaking. And then, in that blinding situation. Wow! Broken into pieces of crash falling sound, crash in the ear sounded falling. As a result, the ground vibrated, and the powerful heat flow overflowed. Yuzigi, who had just jumped into the air, was too close to the position of the light beam. So he was hit down the ground again in the afterwave. Regardless of the injury on his body, Yuzi looked up and couldn't believe that he opened his eyes wide. He was staring at the dazzling light, and began to see clearly. When the light dissipated and the figure holding a large and a small blood man was clearly seen, the complex emotions such as depression and loneliness unconsciously infected his eyes. It's him. The man she remembers. The man who made him feel like a hindrance before he met him. Originally, he was also ambitious to think that with him, he would never let this man have a chance to see her, and become his obstacle. However, he seemed to understand that even if this man was just a mortal in the human world, even if he and she were destined enemies, he could not get involved in them. Looking at the evil and angry man in the air, looking at the man's eyes when he looked at the cloud dance, he suddenly couldn't help laughing bitterly. It turns out that love can't be explained in 1 or 2 sentences. The black figure in the night was also impacted in the afterwave of the sudden diffusion. And the boundary was broken, which made his mouth overflow with a touch of scarlet. Long Qingxie, it's you. Why are you here? When you see clearly the person who suddenly appears and breaks his boundary, the corner of the eye of the knight instantly takes on a touch of een, coldly looking at the dragon. Isn't he captured by Dark Cloud Palace? How can you still be safe in this bright area? Long Qingxie did not answer him. No, it can even be said that all his attention now is not on anyone, but on the bloody little woman in his arms. The original white and delicate skin has long been unable to see half of its original appearance. After the blood bubble was damaged, blood flowed out and dyed the whole body red. Even the delicate and beautiful face could not see its original appearance. If the breath is not still weak, I think it is a broken body. At this time, the cloud dance can only be described as extremely miserable and ugly. But Dragon Qingxie is like looking at her most precious treasure, holding it carefully in her arms. Her loving eyes almost stick to her. Dance, are you okay? Low and hoarse voice, with inexplicable trembling voice asked. He was afraid that a little louder, it would break the people in his arms. However, in his heart, the killing intention like burning fire was about to break out like the river and sea. Just a little bit. If he's just a little bit late, he'll lose her. When I thought of the scene I saw when I arrived, the rolling and killing intention in the heart of Long Qingxie became more and more intense. But at this time, he did not dare to let go, afraid of a let go. Even the last faint breath will disappear. Little guy, come back to me when you hear me. Don't scare me. Dragon Qingxie holds cloud dance, trembling voice incomparably soft. I don't know if it's his call, or cloud dance is just a short daze by the impact. The closed eyes, slowly opened after trembling. However, the original bright star eyes, but because of burning and become red hazy. Cloud Dance looked at the hazy shadow in front of him, because of the familiar sound, and tears poured out. Although some of her memories are missing, she can't forget the man who goes deep into her bone marrow even if all her memories are lost. I've been waiting for you for a long time. How did you come? Throat dry and hoarse, but still cannot hide her deep thoughts. More than a year. She has lost him for more than a year, and there is nothing to fill her missing for him. Yunwu also wants to hug him and kiss him to make up for her missing for him. However, she is so weak and painful that she can hardly speak. I'm sorry, dancer. I should have shown up earlier. Self-blame ferments in the bottom of my heart. Heartache almost drowns him. If he didn't worry so much at the beginning, he would have escaped to look for her when he sensed that she might be in the fairyland. Wouldn't she not have to suffer such a crime? However, there is no if in the world. Cloud Dance pulled the corner of the mouth laboriously. It's okay, I forgive you, but you don't forget your daughter. Even though her hands were weak, she moved the weak child in her arms. Child, I have never met my father. And he has never seen a child. However, I never thought that the scene of father-daughter meeting would be like this. Daughter? Long Qingxia's eyes went down. When he saw the little blood man in her arms, he felt that his heart was cut to pieces again. His daughter, this is his daughter. However, in front of this little girl, the same bloody terrible, only the faint breath. Long Qingxia's eyes turned red, and the trembling of his body made Cloud Dance feel it. If there's something wrong with our mother and daughter, help me kill the night and find my son. Cloud Dance strong hold a breath, with strong willpower to let himself not faint. But she knew that she couldn't last long. She didn't know whether she was dead or alive, but whether she was alive or dead, she must let that night die. Even if she can't kill him with her own hands, she should let her father do it with his own hands. Hurt her, use her, you can. But he shouldn't, he just wanted to kill her child. But at this time there was a cry. Quick, destroy that inner pill. Yuzigi's face was very pale, and his deep eyes had been infected with a touch of worry and anxiety. I saw that the neglected knight, but seized the opportunity, immediately fully aroused the extreme yang inner pill wrapped by his black fog, want to open all the energy of the extreme yang inner pill to the extreme. But that will not only destroy everything within 100 miles, but also destroy Yunwu in this world. Yuzigi feels the change in the control of Naiden, and immediately shouts to Long Qingxi, asking him to destroy Naiden. Only when the extreme yang inner Dan is destroyed, the inner Dan's power carrying him will disappear. And in that way, he will become a complete loser. The knight didn't expect Jade Sun return unexpectedly for Cloud Dance don't hesitate to want to destroy own inside Dan. In his spare time, he quickened the speed of opening the seal, but how could Long Qingxia make him achieve his goal so easily? Hurt his women and children. It's not enough to pay for your life. The scarlet eyes reflect the blood of the person in his arms. The dark liquid seems to flow in his eyes. The darkness sets off scarlet, and the waves are more strange. That eye ground, go to exhausted anger, kill intention. The situation is changing, the seal is opening at the fastest speed bit by bit. The sky is more dark, strange black clouds layer upon layer. The smell of the demon family is more and more strong. If we don't destroy Naiden, the seal will be lifted. And she will be destroyed. The Jade Sun returns an eye to see the seal be lifted bit by bit, again hard with shout. Does it have anything to do with me that the seal has been lifted? Long Qingxia stood up, and the darkness around his body was no less than that of the seal being lifted. Yuzigi felt the darkness from Long Qingxi, and was stunned for a second. What's the matter with this dark smell? And no less than the darkness in the seal. The next second, when he carefully felt the darkness, the treacherous darkness of that moment would not be felt. Is it an illusion? Or the darkness more terrible than the seal has not yet been fully awakened? There was an anomaly in the air. Yuzigi looks at the seal that is about to be broken, and his face is a little worried. When he urges the dragon to do it quickly, a black phantom sweeps towards the direction of the knight, leaving only a voice of deep anger reverberating around. I'm not for the seal, not for the common people, just for my women and children. Bang. There was a loud bang like thunder in the sky, and the black clouds rolled, tearing open the sky in an instant. The two layers of black clouds kept retreating, forming a gully in the middle. In an instant, they gathered again and attacked again, and each impact was shaking. Long Qingxia. The knight hisses and roars. Almost. He almost succeeded. It's all him. Long Qingxia, controlling the dark power, looking at the seal that was almost cracked. Now it is thousands of miles away from me. The night is also scarlet, and the look of the fundus of my eyes is gloomy. The impact of the dark forces shook the earth again and again, and the huge thunder was splitting. The sound was like a dull thunder, which spread to every corner of Yugue Mountain, and even to the dark cloud palace. The cloud dances hazily to see the dragon that is engulfed by the darkness to pour evil. The chest is like to press a big stone somewhere to be out of breath. The darkness was almost integrated with him, but he was in accordance with the terrible vortex of darkness. There was something in the endless scarlet anger. All of a sudden, her worried eyebrows suddenly tightened, as if she was fighting against something with all her strength. The bloody body suddenly sank, as if it was pulled down by something invisible, and it was useless for her to resist. Children. She was dragged down with the child in her arms. Mom. The little fat girl seemed to feel the danger, and opened her eyes weakly. Yunwu looks at her daughter in her arms, and seems to guess the situation after she is pulled down. Her heart is suddenly excited, and the inexplicable surging inside her body stirs up. Dragon Qingxia looks at the clouds that are sucked away by the suction. His scarlet blood eyes are extremely cold. A dark force passes across the sky. The power of the night knocks back the night 5 steps directly. In the gap, the dragon swept in the direction of Cloud Dance. If you break my business, let her be buried with the child. The night pursues the dragon's evil, and the twisted vines formed by the black fog attack the dragon's evil. The dragon leans away from the cloud. Damn it! While facing the death of the night, looking at the cloud dance which was absorbed by the huge suction of the seal, the angry eyes directly became bloody. He can't lose her again. Absolutely not. But the strength of the night is not so easy to get rid of, let alone a night that is close to madness and killing. In this case, unless he is dead, it is impossible to put Dragon Qingxia to save Yunwu. With a hoarse roar, Long Qingxia began to concentrate on dealing with the night. The black silk is messy in the dark, and it is integrated with the dark. The black robe is swaying and ripping at the air. The one who has been fighting like a mad dog just because she is very dangerous now. Cloud Dance looks at that white figure. The corner of the mouth suddenly outlines a tiny radian. Seems to be smiling. Her man, struggling for her mother and daughter, was suddenly in a better mood. As long as you look at him, she will feel that everything is at ease, heart, all the complex feelings. That moment together he brought him. Broken body down, but looking at the child's eyes is so distressed. If a person lives on 10% of her strength, Yunwu now has only half of her strength to barely breathe, but now she is using negative numbers that her body can't bear. Those forces that can't be used, once they are used, the light may run out. It could be death. But she had no choice. She must resist, fight with her men, protect their children and live together. In the fall, the bloody figure suddenly turned over, fell off the split position on the ground, and then slowly climbed up from the ground. The nearly broken body should have fallen down, but now on the other side of the road blocked by cracks. Yuzigi looks at Yunwu with a look of horror. Why does a woman from human world always do things beyond his expectation? It's like an immortal ado. When he falls down, he gets up again, Long Qingxia. I want you to see your women and children melt into the seal with your own eyes. The night is rampant to smile, deal with Long Qingxia. He dare not have one to throw to distract, can only talk with Cloud Dance, to Long Qingxia roar away. Cloud Dance, if you don't work against me, I still really like you a little bit. I like you, a woman who seems to be dying but still alive. Yunwu resisted the attraction of the seal with her last consciousness and strength, but it didn't help. The power of the seal was so powerful that the black fog rolling out of the seal was close to them. Poof! The bright red liquid spurted out, flowed down the corner of the mouth, and seeped into the soil drop by drop. Poof! The bright red liquid spurted out, flowed down the corner of the mouth, and seeped into the soil drop by drop. Mom, the little fat girl in a coma called her mom like a babble. Because she was the son of darkness. She was born with a sense of the dark power. The powerful dark power in the seal felt her. which was wild and terrifying, and scared her. The cloud dances the blood-color pupil eye to look at the daughter. The blood baptism passes. The robe is ticking the blood drop, blooms in the dark to crumble. Looking at the fierce battle with the Knight of the Dragon, poor evil one eye, the body can't help but fall down. Long Qingxia, I can't hold it. The powerful seal power is full of her broken body, and it seems to shuttle through her body like tyrannical dragons, but she doesn't feel any pain at all. It seems that this body is no longer her own, just a body without feeling soul. Dance. The hoarse voice penetrated the dark barrier and reached Yunwu's ear. Yunwu, who was sealed and sucked, was already in a semi-coma when she heard this sentence. The anxious hoarse voice reassured her a lot. He'll save them. Thinking of this, she hugged her baby with all her strength. It's no shame to put hope on her man. What she has to do is to let them live well and wait for him. 1 second before being sucked into the crack seal, Yunwu looks at the man in the black fog, and his pale and dry lips start half a curve. Long Qingxia, if you keep me waiting too long, I'll stop you. Dance. The dark power hovers in the sky like a dragon. In the next second, it will destroy the sky and the earth and rush to the night. At that moment, the dragon will move quickly to the seal. The black silk was straight, and the black robe made a clanging sound in the air. The sound of air tearing passed by. The black phantom disappeared like a spot. When it appeared, it was close to the seal. He saw and heard her eyes and her words. Looking at the desperate dragon Qingxia, the knight showed a strange smile. A little embarrassed figure, the same fast toward the seal. Dragon's target is Cloud Dance, and his target is Jiang Naiden. The powerful seal power is what they can fight against. Even the Dark Emperor's dragon Qingxia can't fight against it before he fully awakens the dark power. He seems to be crazy and close to the clouds, and is crazy against the seal. Thorn. There was a sound of breaking. The seal suddenly turned dark, and the dark force rolled up Yunwu and the children like a black Milky Way, and pulled them into the seal with the force of storm. Dance. It's too late. I used my life to protect her. You help me destroy Naiden. You can't let him open the seal of the demons. Cloud Dance has been pulled into the seal, but there is still a distance between dragon and dark entrance. And Yuzi's return is only 1 step away, only he can accompany her down. The voice falls, then see Jade Sun return without hesitation of toward Cloud Dance disappear position jump down. The next second, the evil spirit from the seal disappeared, and everything was calm, as if nothing had happened just now. The knight looked at the seal that was about to be opened and restored to its original state. How could no way? Jiang Inner Pill is still there, seal is still there, how can seal isn't it? Is that her? It must be that woman. It must be that she was sucked into the seal and weakened the evil spirit of the seal. He roared at heaven like a tear. His efforts were wasted. His long-term plan ended like this. Heard the strange rush to the elder suddenly stopped. What's the matter? Why can't you feel it all of a sudden? The elder can't think when he looks at the magic chi that suddenly disappears in the direction of the seal. Who sealed the seal again? 2 elder looking at this circumstance way. Just after the seal vibrated, several of them felt that the seal was loose and rushed to see that the seal was about to be lifted. Who could return the seal to its original shape at this critical moment? As far as he knows, there is no one in the whole fairyland who can put the seal back in an instant, right? Don't talk about it. The patriarch is still there. Let's go and see the situation first. Let's go. In front of my eyes everything is calm. There is not a drop of blood on the bloody ground. Everything swallowed by the darkness is bright again. There are white clouds floating in the torn cloud. Who can see that there was a fight with life as a gamble here? Looking at the disappearing Yunwu and the child, the anger on Long Qingxia's body is getting worse and worse. Night unconsciously after move a footstep. Squint the eyes son of Enli to look at the dragon to pour evil. How is the feeling that destroys on his body to return a responsibility? Why is there such a dignified dark gas? The black mist is around the dragon. The cut robe shows the skin. The bronze skin has become black now, and you can see the black gas in the flesh flowing with the blood. What's going on? Long Qingxia turned around. A pair of scarlet eyes reflecting the shadow of the night. The shadow stayed in his eyes. A closer look, The shadow was cut into 2 sections in his eyes. In a flash, the evil spirit billows like smoke. The dragon's evil body is like an endless container, emitting endless dark power. That power is stimulated from somewhere in his body, through the elixir field, through the viscera, running in the blood, breaking through the skin, which is the dark power of combining with him. That is the power that belongs to the Dark Emperor. In the name of the Dark Emperor, I declare that you can die. Death's hoarse voice, not too excited and angry, hit the knight's chest like a heavy stone, and a mouthful of blood gushed out of his mouth. You are. Bang! A black giant thunder hit the sky. The sky was covered by darkness. The sky and the earth changed color like night. Under the night, the 2 men's figures crossed. Suddenly, the darkness faded, and the cloud sky returned to its original color. When the 4 elders arrived, they saw Long Qingxia and Yi standing there in black robes. Long Qingxia's robe is in a state of disrepair, with exposed skin and messy black hair. The whole person looks embarrassed, but the robe of night is intact. Although it looks tired, it is not as embarrassed as Long Qingxia. The 4 elders looked at each other, and their eyes were very strange, especially the eyes of Dragon Qingxia. They were surprised and shocked, just as they were surprised when they knew more and more about cloud dance. Bang! A shadow fell to the ground, hissing. In the dark, there was a strange sound. A bloody woman and a bloody child. Jie, I love it. One child can satisfy you, and this woman belongs to me. Jie, you want to be beautiful. Cloud Dance in a coma in the dark frowned slightly, spoke one after another, and her voice beat her consciousness, but she still didn't have the strength to wake up. Who's talking? Scissors, stone, paper. Whoever wins the women's country belongs to whom? Of course, the child belongs to the loser. What? Cloud Dance heard this sentence. Consciousness immediately alert up. Someone wants to move her children? Subconsciously, I want to hold the baby in my arms, but my body can't move at all. That's it. Stone, scissors. I haven't agreed to divide them up. Qingma's voice doesn't have any ups and downs. The man in white stands in front of the stone, scissors, and cloth, and looks at them indifferently, but his elegant face is a little pale. Jie, there was a useless man. The child belongs to you, the woman to me. Why? What's the use of this waste? The man looked back at Yuzi and said, a waste dares to come out to save the beauty. Even if you say you can save a yellow flower girl, you can save a woman who even has a baby. For the sake of being a waste, find a cool place to end it by yourself. Although Yunwu was still in a coma, she was conscious. She heard what the man said clearly, and she felt a very unusual breath here. The breath is absolutely strong, dark breath. The smell of the demons. It seems that every corner, every breath of air is filled with the smell of the demons. Is she really sucked into the demons by the seal? Yuzigi looks at the 2 people in front of him and lowers his eyes. These 2 people have the unique smell of the demons. It seems that this is the sealed demons. The demons here have been sealed here for thousands of years. They have not kept up with the pace of evolution outside, and still maintain the original characteristics of the demons. Scissors, stone. Why don't you die? Jie, it's absolutely impossible for us demons to leave alive, because our demons have a rule that has not changed for thousands of years, but it's not that the demons break into the demons without permission. They must die. The demon people smile at Yuzi Guijia. He says that there is a rule, but there is no such rule since the day when the demon people are sealed. Now the reason why they want him to die is very simple. It's because he and Yunwu stopped the seal from opening. Now the whole demon people are looking for these 2 people. Stone, scissors. My life is not up to you, a scissors, stone, and cloth. The voice of indifference rings out from behind Yuzigi. Yuzigi's back is stiff. She looks back at the woman in blood behind her. The woman smiles at him and gives him the little fat girl in her arms. Then she goes over him to the 2 demons. Her pale lips open a radiant and burst out a smile. The smile is pale and weak, but she can't hide her own indifference and cunning Guanghua. Since you like games so much to solve problems, let's play a game. Shen Wujie stood up with a smile. What do you use to play games with us? Take the first thing you do when you see us. Isn't it enough to kill us? Shen 5 Shen 6 look at each other. Not by Cloud Dance see through the camouflage of the mind. On the contrary, Big Square admitted. Jie, I like it. How do you want to play? Simple. I'll give you a question, you give me a question. A total of 3 questions. Answer correctly, you win. Jie, it's interesting. What if you answer wrong? Cloud Dance way. Good say, answer wrong a problem take off a, how do you think? Jie. It's interesting. I'll play with you. I think you're wearing only 2 clothes? Cloud Dance hooks the corner of his mouth and takes a look at Uzgui. Uzgui turns around with little fat girl and moves away a few steps. The second he turns around, the corner of his mouth seems to be stained with a helpless expression. This woman really surprised him more and more. She was indifferent but attached importance to love and righteousness. She was unsmiling but clever. Which one was the real one? She was full of holes in the body, and now she can stand and deal with them. This woman is really incredible, too simple. This is the doom in his life, a doom that he can't escape. Unfortunately, she is the mother of the son of darkness. The son of darkness must die to save life. Uzigi looks at the little fat girl in her arms. The little fat girl is sleeping. There is no dark breath on her sleeping face. It's so calm that people can't help taking care of her. In a coma, her fleshy lips are still talking to her mother. Uzigi's faint eyes are covered with warmth. Over there, Yunwu and Shenlu have started the game. 5 birds in the tree, 1 shot down. How many birds are there in the tree? 4. No. Take off. Why don't you take it off? Shall I take it off for you? What's wrong? 1 shot down, the rest were scared away, so the answer was none. Shenwu and Shenlu nodded at the same time. Then it's our turn to ask. Didn't you just ask? Cloud Dance picked eyebrow tip. Now it's my turn. What's the most powerful saber move of Pirate King Solon? Shen 5 Shen 6 look at each other at the same time. Pirate King? Sauron. What is that? I don't know, do I? Take off. Why is this woman in such a hurry? While thinking that there must be something strange in it, the loser was taking off his clothes. Just as they took off their clothes, Yunwu picked up the clothes and ran away, his eyes leaping with the light of victory. While running, he yelled and waved to Uzigi. Run, there are 2 abnormal people without clothes. Come on. Shenwu Shenliuqi's face is green and her nose is crooked. This shameless woman. So there was this scene. 2 men were forced to take off their clothes by a woman. Watching the woman run away, instead of chasing them, they hid in the dark, dark sky, dark air, dark everything. It is as dark as hell, full of dignified atmosphere everywhere, just like a place where Luocha and Yanlua live, full of the smell of death everywhere. This is the Demon Clan. A place where there is no light but darkness. Yunwu and Uzigi change into Shen Wushen 6 clothes and put on a black flame lip, which is a symbol of the demons. Then they enter the demons. Today is the festival of hanging sacrifice. It's said that the devil sect has found sacrifices to worship the devil god. That you're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.